people starting to filter in. Hey, as into you, sire. Good to see y'all again. Taking it easy tonight. It's morning for me, but for I imagine a good portion of the rest of you, it is evening or night, midday at most. Am I doing a voice? I've got the fucking open ear headphones on, so maybe I'm just more aware of my volume than usual. Fucking... oh yeah, I don't have any lights on because it's cozy night. So I just look like a disembodied head floating in space on the top camera. It's pretty good. Sire says, damn, this map looks kinda baller. How's this Liza? Pretty cozy area. I think for Heavensward, one of the primary design goals was basically to just blow your mind with the area design because it was the game's belated arrival at flying mounts. So there was a big emphasis on verticality in the area design for this expansion in particular, to the extent that some layouts actually became kind of difficult to navigate without flying. I'm kind of just flipping through a couple free radio stations right now tonight, so if anybody has any requests for broad genres that don't take me more than 5 seconds to specify, I can do my best. Does Garabanian ore still move? Probably not. I don't think any of the crafts that it's used in are worth shit to anybody anymore. Hey Chris. Chris says, got sent home early because our grill broke today. Now I'm finally back in time for a stream. Lucky? Question mark? Good to see you in any case. Let's see. What's coming up right now? I figure I can fucking hit mist spinach at least. I think that ingredient's never gonna go away. Hey Frey. So Frey is responsible for the open ear bone conduction headphone shit. And I gotta say, pretty cozy. Because I recently noticed something about myself that I hadn't really given any thought to. But, apparently it's not super normal for you to only be able to wear headphones for like an hour or 2 hours at most before you start getting really uncomfortable and anxious. Contrary to popular belief. Not a normal thing, apparently. Did some informal surveying of my friends and I determined, yes, I do have weird-ass headphone fatigue. Oh, right, this is an up-to-date node, so I shouldn't have pick cleaned. Oh well. Some yield better than no yield. Porter says, so they just reverberate on your cheekbone and that somehow resonates the sound to you? IDK, how the fuck that works. You ever have those fucking toothbrushes, the electric toothbrushes, where they'd like play a song in your mouth while it was pressed to your teeth? You know, the ones that were advertised on Nickelodeon about 45,000 times every day for about 6 months straight? Kind of a similar principle. You hear with your fucking bones. It's the 3 bones in your ear that do the moving and vibrating, that tell your brain how to interpret the fucking changes in pressure. Hey Ark. Ark says, it's snug gathering hours, bro. I don't have a blanket because I'd fucking overheat, but I'm in a jacket, I'm in some fucking cozy plush socks. Leaning back in a chair that's slowly deteriorating over time, but for the moment still manages to remain relatively cozy. Moji asks, I wonder if bone conduction feedback is why you sound different to yourself than to other people. That and like throat resonance stuff, basically. Well, it's that, and also there's sort of there's a psychological component to it. You don't really listen to your own voice. Like, as somebody who's basically made an extremely long-running hobby out of speaking into a microphone to the benefit of other people, I don't really have the my voice sounds different to me effect anymore. I sound the same on recordings as I do in my own ears when I speak. And I think everyone does, it's just that they don't really listen to themselves, you know? My vocal delivery used to be complete unlistenable dog shit. You can go back and watch my super early Elsword streams on a laptop microphone to verify that one. But you sort of develop an awareness over time. Today I'm doing routes on timed nodes. There's a couple different ways you can approach gathering for profit in this game, and I think one of the most consistently, it keeps your markets diverse for you. You just fucking open Garland Bell or some other gathering tracker, and you look at every single material that has a timed node coming up, stuff that is only gatherable for a 5 to 8 minute window at a specific location, because those materials are guaranteed to be lower in supply than anything else. And they're often gating stuff that turns out to be pretty important. Right after a patch drops in particular, it's a really lucrative way of approaching things because the supply is artificially bottlenecked by the timing of the nodes and the fact that you can only hit them once per window even when they're available. But everybody wants, say, Fireheart Cobalt right after the patch drops if you need it to make the new crafted gear, which you need to be in BIS to start the new raid tier. Stuff like that. It's small potatoes for people who are doing advanced market manipulation strategies, but for somebody like me who just kind of dabbles, I want to be affluent enough to support Az's housing habit and get food in pots for everybody that I care about playing with. I'd say 20 mil in the first 2 days of a patch is a pretty good track record. Arcada asks, how's the Aether Stand market in Aether? In my experience... Oh, hey, I can Spirit Bond. The Aether Stand market isn't fantastic, IMO. I've avoided it because I find it kind of frustrating, and in the past it's been pretty obviously controlled by people who are controlling automated characters, which is a little dodgy. The other thing about Gatherers right now, I should actually put up a Spirit Bond potion and probably overmeld these, I don't know, maybe when the new Gatherer gear drops I'll do it. But I don't know if trying to... Maybe I could overmelt garbage? But anyway, the changes made to Spirit Bonding in 5.2 allow you to extract materia from gear that's 100% Spirit Bonded without destroying it. And that means that you can get high-grade Gatherer materia, you can get 7s and 8s, basically from nowhere. And most people don't seem to know about this, or if they do, they're not taking advantage of it. I need to adjust that trigger, probably. We have back on your feet and meat and mead, so I'll be a little bit selfish here, and I'll dismiss meat and mead for that which binds us. So now I've got a couple different buffs up that increase spirit bonding speed, which should hopefully mean that I'm seeing significantly more materia tonight. Capitan says, I think it's fine if you want to make your own pots, but I wouldn't bother selling it unless you want a far reach in all markets. Yeah, that's how I feel about Aether Send on Aether as well. Gathering it yourself is definitely better than buying it, because the opportunity cost of walking up to a single node with 800 GP and hitting 2 macros is pretty low. Unfortunately, it's hard to get a high amount of yield out of it. And so when you're competing with people who are listing multiple stacks of 99, it can be a little bit frustrating to get your foot in the door. Fashanti says he uses macros for gathering. I think for Aether Sands in particular, if you're using the Instinctual Appraisal High Roll strategy, it's pretty cozy. I have 1 macro to start and then 2 macros to finish, depending on whether I got a reasonable set of Instinctual Appraisals or whether I low rolled and have no collectability. It'd be like that. This says, I can't believe AJ's a human bot. Am I? I don't know, sometimes I'll go hard. Unlike new patch releases, I've been known to go fucking crazy, but that's about it, really. Frey says, you absolutely are. Well, am I a cute robot? I'll accept no robot and I'll accept cute robot, but anything in between those, gonna have a hard time. Frey says, AJ is a human bot with a slight manufacturing defect. Seb asks, what's the manufacturing defect? I only have 69 brain cells. It's probably actually the bone condition that he's referring to. It's a rough one sometimes. Fortunately, my lifestyle has organized itself in such a way that I don't feel compelled to chase any dreams of being a professional football player or anything. Yeah, the eyelid muscle machine broke one is also pretty good. Man, I lost the genetic lottery in a lot of fucking places, huh? Capitan says, when you get a +2 node and you get the low roll of the century, I hate that nonsense. It legit makes me feel like I'm doing something wrong when I do Sands, when that happens to me. I'm like, am I using the wrong rotation? Can I ask the balance Discord about fucking gathering openers? It's funny, because they actually have stuff documented for that. What do I actually want to hit right now? Beryllium's pretty easy. Prashante says, when you high roll like a god on a +2 node and everything turns into ice crystals and ice clusters, I feel like if you hit 8 purity on an Aether Sand node, you should at least be guaranteed 1 NQ sand. Getting crystals and clusters out of something you spent 800 GP on, super frustrating. Az asks, hello the balance, I would like to know what my pre-pull and rotation is for Fisher. Apply bait, patience 2, prep some tissues because you're about to start fucking sobbing. Frey says, Fisher pre-pull is putting the line in the water. Yeah, and then you pull it. Capitan says, when you have so little to do in the patch that you're going back and doing Heavensward side quests. Must be nice to be a super strong group that kills the tier weak one. Trainwreck has been doing way better, though. I'm proud of everyone for the effort they're putting in. Like, E5 and E6 are not exceptionally hard fights with a Savage standard, but the fact that we were able to see Enrage on E6 in just 2 Nights of Prague, I'm alright with that. Palladium's a yellow script material. Doubt it moves. Let's just go hit Dusk Blooms or something instead. I'm sure these are still moving for something. Arcada says, you go into the balance, you ask for DOL/DOH rotations, and the desk lady tells you to turn left into a creepy alleyway and it's some crack jobs but selling spirit bond potions. You want to buy some Materia Force? Capitan says, on one end, you prog quick and get loot. The first week is essentially avoid IRL, and after it you have nothing to do. Yeah. I don't know if I'm ever going to be super interested in, like, that kind of speed of prog. Maybe for a year or two for fun, because it seems like it would be interesting to just throw myself into things like that. And I think at this point I'm probably strong enough that I could hang with a group of pretty appreciable speed. But Trainwreck's been a really good environment recently. Everybody's been putting in a lot of effort on that front. So I don't feel like being anywhere else anytime soon. Porter says, as long as I can get through a run of Ruby Extreme, I'll be happy. Don't need to do raids right now. Have you done Ruby? It's a very, very friendly Extreme. Definitely, I'd say it's around Titania difficulty. Possibly lower. Capitan says, hey kid, do you want to click all your CDs in a line as Paladin in Titania? Honestly, for classes with 100% static loop rotations, I kind of want to see someone use all 12 of their hotbars. I mean, you think 12 hotbars, 12 slots per hotbar, or is it 10 hotbars? 10 hotbars, 12 slots per hotbar. You have 120 abilities you can basically line up in a gigantic grid. What classes have static loops that are less than 120 abilities long? I'd wager a few of them. Chris says, oh yeah, if you want some cozy music, I recommend this neat little album I found recently. Kazuaki Shimizu, Music for Commercials. Let's see. I might give that a listen right now and consign the stream to the depths of copyright mute hell. 40-minute album? Let's give it a try. Oh, hey. That says ambient sounds. Is it a rainy mood type of night? Is it a fire crackling inside of the fucking rainy house kind of paradox night? What's next for me? Man, I haven't looked at this list in a while, and seeing the materials that I used to gather back in Stormblood is giving me a weird kind of feeling, you know? Like, damn, it's been a while since I've fucking seen these. Shanti says, AJ, please, I'm on 4 hours of sleep that might knock me out. Alright, it's decided. Where is the fucking ambience bomb? Ambiance? Like, if this stream isn't for people to fall asleep to, I don't really know what it's for, to be perfectly honest. We have deployed the bomb. I dig this so far. Thanks, Chris. Yo. I remember when this node was crowded with literally every gatherer on the server. Things have slowed down a lot. There are so many fucking materials here, though. I want to, like, blacklist all the cluster-only nodes that come up. Same for, like, almost everything in Dravania, to be perfectly honest. None of these are even worth looking at the majority of the time. Hmm. 5.21 drops pretty soon. Maybe I should go get some Skybuilder stuff. Stockpile it just in case. Fishanti says, this Tuesday kinda soon? Oh yeah, there we go. So only got a couple days to stockpile a bunch of materials, then dump them on the market day one when everybody returns to Ishgardian Restoration. After remembering that crafters exist. Where's my... Why am I following the fucking unspoiled marker? Gathering untimed materials, especially the Skybuilder stuff, is super cozy, because GP basically doesn't even come into it at all. If you're hitting reasonably high-level nodes for Skybuilder stuff, the yield increases you get just from, like, finding a node with a native yield bonus kind of dwarf the GP you can spend on them. So you can save your cordials and do alright. Capitan says, yeah, Monday after class I'm going in on Skybuilder stuff. For sure. Fishanti says, after some time I've come to the conclusion that I don't actually like Ishgard Restoration. There's nothing wrong with the content itself, but it's brought about this whole new group of crafters, or at least caused one group's numbers to swell. These are the people who are ruining your markets, aren't they? As says, I'm gonna go shower, complete the coziness. Take it easy. Make sure you've got some fucking plush-ass towels prepped. Ashanti says, and it's the I got carried to cap and I don't know how to price things and don't care to learn group. Yep. At least when people go for major undercuts, if you've amassed enough of a, like, what's the old fucking saying? Have money to make money? If you've got enough purchasing power, when somebody tries to blow up your market, you can turn it into raw profit instead if you're confident. But I think the general intention of a lot of the changes to Crafters and Gatherers is to basically eliminate the gigantic fucking price wall to allow people to be self-sufficient much easier, and for those who aren't, bring down prices significantly. Yoshi has talked about gil inflation being a problem for the game, and how with the available sources of gil that combat-only players have, he worries that people won't be able to purchase things. Which I think is a fair thing to worry about. If a player's goals feel unattainable to them, then they'll be much more likely to walk on the game. And even from the perspective of somebody who's not concerned about player retention. It's just frustrating to feel like that kind of stuff is so far out of reach. Capitan says, remember when higher level crafts with millions of gil worth of mats being based on hasty touch? God. Sounds like a fucking nightmare. But yeah, the most expensive thing you can buy is a large house, except you can't buy a large house. And the people with large houses also have millions and gazillions of gil just sitting in their 8 retainers, with nothing really to spend it on. The state of housing is confusing to me. I wish somebody would actually just come out and say, okay, here is the actual, like, reason that we haven't just added a billion new wards. Because that seems to be the obvious solution to literally everyone. There's no way it hasn't occurred to Square. There's no way they're not aware of the opinions on housing. So just a little bit of communication. Somebody saying, hey, the obvious solution isn't that obvious. Let me explain to you what's going into our thought process when deciding how to deal with the housing situation. That's pretty much all I need. And this is coming from someone who already has basically their endgame in terms of housing. I have a nice secluded plot in Mist. It's a medium. It's about as large as I would want to go, even if I was maintaining an FC house, which I'm not. $10, baby. I think the only upgrade that I could find for myself would probably be just buying a Lavender Beds 11. Like, the far and away most desirable plot in the game? Sure. That seems like a reasonable goal. The gray area status of out-of-game transactions to go for it are pretty dodgy. And I've seen it priced as high as 100, 150, 200 mil. Which is, obviously that's not what everyone's trying to make for it, but if that sort of transaction can even fly, then it gives you an idea of the sort of range you need to be in to even negotiate for one. Seb says, I think it's just server limitations. Wards are pretty heavy to keep. The obvious solution is having PSO2 houses, aka revamp the shitty apartments. At the very least, I think apartments should get a fucking shared gathering space, and maybe an actual, legitimate teleport inside. Teleporting out to the door of the apartment complex and then having to walk in through an extra menu. I mean, the apartment teleports are wonderful utility for anybody who does market stuff a lot. Like, depending on the location of your house, or whether you even have one or care to have one, investing the 500k for an apartment can still be worth, because check out where the fucking teleport puts you. I think this is the shortest distance from a bell and a board that you can get, outside of like one or two very particular mansions. Pretty cozy, honestly. 219 true gold. Let's branch out a bit. Resin and white ash logs moved for a decent amount. Seb says, if you see Square's annual reports, you can see just how much money FF14 makes them and how little they pour back in, which is pretty sad. Yeah, I've never bothered to look at the numbers myself, but I know it's a pretty common take that FF14 basically exists to fund the rest of Square's development ventures, which is obviously a pretty unfortunate situation for 14. There's definitely some things that can't just be solved by throwing more money and manpower at it, though. When you run a game of this size as a live service, you run into coordination issues where adding more people makes problems harder to solve, not easier. And I think Square has made it abundantly clear that, like, big back-end revamps are basically not ever on the table. And my evidence for that is how gear upgrade exchanges, after 3 full-ass expansions, are still terrible. Easily some of the worst in the fucking industry. I don't think it's because they don't have the budget to do a huge adjustment like that, but just that the actual return they'd see for it compared to what they would have to put in, and the amount of effort that would go into supporting it when it inevitably fucking fell over after being deployed live. Well, you know. Dragana said, do you know you can right-click the guild icon on the counter to make it display seals and MGP? I actually did not know that. I haven't had the guild counter displayed for a while because I prefer to keep my UI pretty lean, and I have the currency window. But that's pretty cool. See, it's little undocumented UI quirks like that. I sometimes wonder how many people play this game religiously, but literally don't know about, like, 95% of its features or content. Because you think about the percentage of the player base that's, like, engaged in Savage or even EX, and then you extend that to every other way you can meaningfully engage with the game. How many people are involved in housing? How many people are involved in gold saucer stuff? Beyond, like, mini cactpot for fucking bunny busters. Fucking, how many people know literally anything about gathering at all? The wacky thing about a game with this kind of content breadth is that it's sort of difficult to actually expose everything to everyone in a way that doesn't feel overwhelming. You know how many people have been subbed to this game for fucking years, and all they do is log in, do expert, and then buy some glamour pieces? Sarakin says, I want to get into gathering/crafting, but both my inventory and retainer spaces are fucked. So, if I can make a suggestion for that, and I think this is probably useful to a lot of people, The Teamcraft desktop app has a feature that will read data directly from your inventory, and give you an inventory optimizer readout that shows you what items you have that are buyable from vendors with gil with no restrictions, what items you have stacks of in multiple places, what items you have small stacks of. It'll give you expected value of stuff that's in various retainer inventories or your saddlebag or whatnot, armory chest. And if you, like, bring that up and devote some time to just stripping away the obvious stuff, the stuff that you really genuinely don't need or want. I keep very little around. I'd say I'm pretty fucking financially successful in this game. I've purchased a medium house and spent more than the cost of the house furnishing the house. I'm able to raid and fucking crafted gear whenever I want, basically. I'll buy glamour items and generally not give a fuck about it. And I've done all this with comparatively little investment, and I don't keep very much around. You say Momo asks, Teamcraft it was called? Yes. The Teamcraft desktop app in particular. Teamcraft is a utility that's used a lot by crafters and gatherers for simulating crafts and coordinating large-scale gathering efforts and stuff like that. But the desktop app in particular has some features that can read information directly from your game client, and the inventory optimizer is one of them. Zara says, Vinus chose the quirky voice for his character. Ashix and I are collectively shocked. What did you expect? Vinus is a chaotic spirit. Even if your expectation is I have no expectations, when it comes to Vinus, you're dead wrong. Maybe I should be using this shit. I'd be wary of FC shared rooms, because if you leave the FC or if the FC disbands, you lose the room. So I'd only bother to invest in something like that with a group that you know you're going to be with long term. But it is half the cost of an apartment. Of course, the advantage of the apartment is that you get a teleport to a Board and Bell that's very, very near you. I think this is mist spinach? May as well walk over and fucking hit it with pick clean. Capitan says, the best part about going back and cleaning out these quests is having a clean map afterwards. Oh man. If I hit my journal, I have some weird stuff in here. I still have Feast of Famine here, even though I don't think I'll ever fucking finish it. I have a Hildebrand quest that I'll never finish. Fucking Satasha Hard, which I just haven't turned in. I have an Anima quest that I probably will never actually do, even though I like the look of the weapon. And then I think I have some of the leading quests for the Qatari Beast Tribe, which I haven't been feeling the need to go in on at the moment, but I probably should. 28 months from Lyra, thanks very much. Sorry about the lack of horrible fucking noise, but I'm making a genuine effort to make the fall asleep to the streams, not random fucking sound bombs. Imagine actually giving a fuck about your sound. Like, sound bombs are fun, but I don't want to be cruel to people. SS, so what happens if I redeem Loud Easy now? I probably wait until the next stream, to be perfectly honest. Or maybe I'd just hit it because memes are too powerful. Seb says, hey, do your Hildebrand stuff. I don't like the opening quests. They didn't, the humor didn't land for me. So if I do it, it'll probably be a cutscene skip just for the emotes. And then maybe I'll go back and watch the parts that aren't shit on YouTube or something. I feel like I'm one of the only people in this game who basically feels like almost every aspect of the storytelling whiffs on me. Cyrocken asks, can I share an apartment? Nope. And it's one of the more frustrating things about it, since I know that a lot of people, you know, you got some small group of friends that you play with. You kind of want a collective space to call your own, but don't want to placard spam or dump 3 mil on kind of a whim. Because 500k for me is definitely the, like, yeah, I can do this and not worry about it too much territory. I don't make a habit of it, but I can drop 500k to a mil and be like, whatever. But the fact that you can't share apartments with other people, do the shared tenancy for decorating and whatnot, it's a little frustrating. This is not the soundscape I expected for tonight, but I'm totally into it, honestly. I'll probably switch back to whichever fucking radio station I was just on after this album's over, but good to branch out. Czar says, Archaea though? What, you want me to fucking Vaporwave Ignatus? As says, Chad, I have a super fucking important question. I'm gonna brew tea and drink it while watching stream. Should I brew chai, mango, or matcha? My gut says mango, but my heart says matcha. And of course, Frey says chai. We're compatible, I swear. Seb says, the story is pretty okay for what it is. Heavensward's story is good but less fun, and Stormblood's story is honestly good. Stormblood's story didn't resonate with me. I felt like it spent a lot of time jumping around, and Lys didn't feel really developed enough as a character for me to actually feel like I got anything out of the ending. The way it resolves wasn't satisfying to me. Heavensward, I like 3.0. I really like 3.x. And obviously Shadowbringers is the best executed story the game has had for a while because of the decent amount of actually, like, choreographed cutscenes and voice acting. And even though it's a pretty standard story, not exactly a fucking cinematic thrill ride, it's still pretty cozy. Seb says, AJ, I meant Hildebrands. Oh, I don't know shit about that. Whiff. Always looking for an excuse to shit on Xenos, the worst villain. Frey says, what do you mean, of course? I mean, I suggested 2 T's speculatively, and you immediately definitively decided on the 1 T that I didn't decide on. Like, Ranjit is at least sort of an afterthought that doesn't get in the way of the story too much, but Xenos refuses to go the fuck away. Ranjit and the trolley line. The entire trolley sequence of quests immediately rendered completely useless. Like, no question about it, too. Everything that happens in that entire second half of that zone is worthless to everyone. Absolutely nothing of consequence occurs at all. So it's like, yeah, for MMOs, this game's story is pretty good. But that bar's buried in the fucking floor. meaning to say it's not exactly high. And I think the story still suffers from having to be compatible with an MMO progression structure. There's a whole lot of nothing and a whole lot of running around. Seb says, IDKAJ, I think Shadowbringers story is actually good even for usual game standards. It's been a hot minute since I saw a game being released in modern times with a good story. I think I agree. I think narratively it's fine. It's just that the way the story is narratively versus the structure that you're forced to endure to experience it, I think it's difficult to separate those, and I think one is significantly weaker than the other. Like, it's an alright plot. It is entirely adequate, and I enjoyed going through it. I didn't skip cutscenes, and I generally had a pretty good time. It's just that it seems like there's a lot of shit that happens while you're waiting for the story. Saralkin says, every time there's a we have to earn the insert whatever people / race here's trust questline section, I die a little inside. I think the only good example of that was probably the Asm Step quests, which are fucking fantastic, honestly. Because the step has a lot of room for fucking, like, basically that entire sequence of quests is getting to know each tribe instead of just, like, some one note, hey, here is the personality of this entire beast tribe, let it rock, type of deal. It's not all perfect, but at least there's enough variety to keep things engaging. This is a pretty cool sample. Album's going full-ass open world. Freya asks, AJ, are you just saying that because waifus? I mean, like, Serena's good, and I want Sadu to crush every bone in my body. Not that that's particularly difficult for anyone, but I'd like to think that's at least not the whole sum of it. Cyrocken says, for me at least, whenever you got to know the tribes, it was good. Whenever you had to collect literal poop to advance the story was the worst. Yeah, every time you have a fucking item tracker on the screen, it's, oh, this exists because you wanted me to run around the zone, not because the story actually benefits from it in any way. It's really transparent in that way. I know a lot of people for whom that shit doesn't take them out of the experience, but then I know a lot of people who will, like, play long-ass JRPGs and fucking, like, they're ecstatic about the length. They're like, I wish the game was longer. Lyra says, the pink lizard of pure intentions. The will of the gods. Chris says, at least FF7 Remake seems to be carrying the energy of FF15 character interactions, which honestly made the game so memorable for me. I still remember trying to play 15 on my old PC, and watching it actually, like, bring it to a fucking... I couldn't stream it. The game brought my PC to its fucking knees. I probably could on the new machine, but the general consensus seems to be that it may or may not actually be worth your time. If nothing else, I kind of want to install it again just to see how much stronger the new rig is. Capitan says, 3.0 quest design was made when they were still in the ARR mindset and thought not having fun was a good idea. There's 6 quests in a row where you help a goblin kill enemies for him to fish. God. You see, that's another thing. A lot of the overworld side quests are total throwaways. And I don't get who that resonates with, but there's a lot of people who go out of their way to clear out the map. The nature of designing a game with as broad of an appeal as possible is that you either have to fucking flawlessly coordinate a gigantic team being funded with as much cash as you can possibly put into it, or you just go wide and go just shallow enough that most people won't complain. Lyra says, I remember being here while you were trying to stream FF15. That was a fun time. Seb says, AJ just opening Task Manager. It's going out of memory. Yeah, I've got a pretty strong PC now, so I think I'd have a way easier time. Let me fucking pop Task Manager and flex for exactly 1 moment. 32 gigs, baby. Having an alright time. It feels pretty good to be like, nah, I'll allocate 8 gigs to the OBS replay buffer. No big deal. Not concerned about that. Yo, this album is actually going open world. I'm sticking with it, though. As says, alright, I'm back. Maximum coziness achieved. Congrats on your chai. Chris says, FF15 is not an AJ game. I think it's an enjoyable experience, but it's not a masterpiece. It's a 6 out of 10, but it's a 6 out of 10 that I love despite its many, many flaws. Main cast is fucking adorable, though. Love the Chocobros. You ever see the FF15 collab event we got in 14? Pretty cute. They're like, fuck it, let's give the Warrior of Light Warp Strike for 1 fight, just to see what happens. And the mechanics they used for it were actually kind of interesting. Oh yeah, and we got the Regalia, which, I mean, if you haven't seen it yet, you absolutely have to know, because it was the game's first 4-seater mount, and it was a free-to-play accessible mount, when even 2-seaters previously were, like, limited to veteran rewards at best. So we get a 4-seater mount, and that's obviously got a lot of appeal for a lot of people, but it looks like this. And the way it traverses, like, slopes and shit is so jank, and, like, grass will clip through the bottom. It's like, this is probably the limit for a lot of people, where, like, verisimilitude and the premise of the world falls apart. But it's fucking hilarious that it exists. And I mean, if this is your limit for immersion breaking, and not, this, you probably have some personal stuff to analyze. Chris says, see, in 15 it's even funnier, because you can upgrade it to a literal monster truck for off-roading and do jumps, or a fucking plane car. And we kinda got the plane car. Capitan says, see, I think the Sky Slipper is cozy for a 4-seater. Yeah, I think I'll probably use the Sky Slipper over the Regalia in my 4-seater slot. Let me actually change that right now. Because, you know, gotta flex. It doesn't have the same look around the seat energy. But hey, on the bright side, you can totally mount up and sit on the Dreadworm Academy front lawn with it. Frey says, FF15 gets points from me for its still fidelity and beauty, and extra points for Warp Strike, and I think that's all I like about it. That's valid. I think you mentioned this at one point, and I agree with you. The real appeal is the required balls to use a waltz as your main theme. Hell yeah. Capitan says, I can't wait to not bad luck and get the E8S mount, which if you don't know it, I don't want to spoil. I do know it, but I think it's recent enough that if you're concerned about people not knowing what it is, maybe keep quiet for now. Honestly, more than any mount concerns, my goal for this tier is just to make sure that everyone in Trainwreck gets their 8 clear before the end of the tier. That's all, really. We missed it by 1 previously. Saki missed a couple days, and we weren't able to clear as a group despite almost everyone getting a clear at some point, just because we couldn't pull things together in time and the group was in sort of a turbulent state. I think the roster we have now is a lot more stable. Runa says, hi, just beat EX2 in Maiden and Spell, I want die. Man, EX2 is so cute. Like, EX1 is tailor-made bait for me, but EX2 just had me smiling the entire time. It's tough though, isn't it? Sacred Nova, or whichever spell it was. Really tricky, even on normal. Lyra says, once I move out, I'll be on Wired while I'm moving, and I'll probably come back to FF14 to try and get into raiding. We're like 9 of 8 right now, where that 9 slot is between Suint and Az, who can each cover for the other on days where the other isn't there. So I don't know if there's any room in the static for the foreseeable future, but it's definitely that sort of situation where I'm sure almost all of us would be glad to run with basically anybody. Chris says, I was about to say Maiden and Spell, more like Maiden and Hell, but then that's just Toho. It's been really neat seeing a lot of people who don't play these kinds of games getting into Maiden and Spell just for the aesthetic and the music, and then like kind of finding themselves sucked in. Also, that's the end of the album, so I'll go ahead and after making sure I'm volume leveled, I'll go back to the radio station. Thanks, Chris. Raz says, Netplay on Maiden and Spell is fake, please ban wides. Yeah, the netcode is a little bit wobbly at high ping because some tracking is a little bit delayed, which means that wide attacks, which are supposed to never hit you when you're standing still, actually totally can. It only happens at really high ping though. I think every game I've played under 100 ms, that issue has been almost completely unnoticeable. It says, more ambiance. I've got the ambiance running. But it's also been a while since I've listened to any of the Soma.fm stations. I unsubscribed to Digitally Imported because after listening to their shit for a long time, I noticed that they literally never add any new music, apparently. So I started hearing the same stuff a lot of the time. Meanwhile, Soma is basically entirely donation-funded radio. And I dig their approach to everything. Kind of want to get a shirt or something, help them out. But it's been a while since I've listened, so figured I'd give it another try tonight. Frey says, the best moment in FF15 is actually the opening cutscene, in which the bros have to push the car with a wonderful version of Stand By Me plays. It's such a strong moment, especially that song choice in a JRPG, and I wish the game wasn't actually about saving the world and really was just four dudes misadventuring in a car. I'm imagining, like, here's the next DLC, right? Final Fantasy 15 Versus 8 Desert Bus. Heh. If only the DLC wasn't cancelled. I'm sorry, I'm teasing the FF15 likers. Raz says, even those Storm basics that I got hit by gave me cancer. Storm is top 1 in net play. Yeah, Storm on high ping is a different beast entirely. I think the game plays pretty close to offline, below like 100, even 150 ms. Where is the node? Here it is. Porter says, a bit late, but I don't mind what people would find mediocre or bad stories if I find them entertaining. That's why I enjoy a lot of side quests in FF14 and like 15, 10's, Persona 3 and Persona 5 stories. You know, in that case, it's just, you don't consider them bad. Well, that's alright. I think I give off the opposite impression a lot of the time, but broadly speaking, I would prefer to like things than dislike them because it makes my life a lot easier. I don't enjoy crowing about high standards or whatever bullshit malarkey. It's just that some stuff doesn't resonate with me, and when that happens, I think an understanding how it resonates with other people and what makes their experience different, it's something that's always interesting to me. Chris says, shoutouts to Ray Chase with, I recorded Roy's Star KO sound by immediately screaming into a mic when the DLC I did voice work for got cancelled. Frey says, speaking of people into voluminous content, points for syllables. Dear God, Persona Q is so long. I just ran out of steam in the 3rd dungeon. Yeah. Long games get me with that too. Bite-sized stuff is so much cozier. Doesn't feel like I have to, see, there's like the two extremes. Either something bite-sized, arcade length, or like a couple of hours, where I feel like I can complete it in 1 or 2 sessions. And then there's play forever stuff, where since the intent is to play it forever, I don't feel like I'm under any pressure to proceed at any particular pace. You know? Raz says, even with lower ping, the gaps in wide slash the margin of error gets smaller in net play. And starting like 120 ms, you start getting hit for making movements that normally wouldn't hit you. And then like 200 ms plus, you start getting the wides that outright target you. Yeah. Because I think what the game is trying to do more than anything, if you've noticed this, there is no visual rollback, even at high ping, that I've noticed for that I've noticed in Maiden and Spell. If it was rollback implemented in the same way that, like, say you're net playing Twinkle Star sprites or something, then you'd occasionally see bullets jump around the screen or appear where they weren't previously. But that never happens in Maiden and Spell because they're choosing to hide the latency in a different way. Chromation says, I love me some long games. Trails has an overarching story spanning 9 games currently and counting, and I love it. I mean, hey, more power to you. That kind of stuff is exhausting to me, though, even though I respect the amount of shit that goes into, like, keeping that up to date. Being able to start from the very beginning and then see stuff called back to that you remember from fucking 600 hours ago. There's definitely an appeal to that. Kurzov says, today is the sub expiry date and Twitch doesn't want to let me renew, although I am using my Prime sub. I don't think it'll drop your streak for about another month after you drop the sub initially. Plus it shows total months right next to streak months anyway, so don't worry too much about getting things up. And obviously I appreciate any level of support, no matter when or how it comes. But yeah, you don't lose your streak if you drop for one day. There's a very long leniency window, so don't stress about it too much. Truthfully, I'm always... stuff like the engagement chest on channel points and sub streaks. It's definitely in my interests, and I think a lot of people find that sort of stuff compelling, being able to flex like, hey, I've been here for 3 years or whatever. But I'm so wary of being complicit in those, like, gamified kind of manipulative mechanics, you know? I've thought a lot about breaking away from Twitch and just trying to use my own streaming infrastructure and run everything from my own site or something like that. I don't think it's a realistic approach, and I don't even think that it would benefit most people who watch me. I think the experience would probably be worse. The things that I see as iffy or kind of edge case or awkward about the scheme that Twitch is running, people see as features. That's not to say that I don't appreciate the support. I don't think I could be still I don't think I could still be doing this without it, or at least I couldn't be doing it anywhere near as comfortably. But I'm so wary of taking advantage of people, man. It's weird to be basically a contractor for Amazon and this kind of shit. Chromation says, there's something about seeing a character from 3 games ago and going, hey, I remember you, and seeing what kind of life they're living now is really refreshing. Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of that appeal is the same appeal as I've had in Hey. Spirit Bond's ready. It's a lot of the same appeal that I've felt with FF14, where it feels like a world you can live in, you know? Alright, I got some refrux, I got some sea salt. I figure I should probably hit at least a handful of the 80 nodes. True gold sand usually goes for some amount. What am I actually... That's definitely not true gold sand. It's gonna be up here. How about now? That looks more likely. Yep, Graditty. I realized recently that I've streamed almost nothing except FF14 and Kart for like 2.5 months now. It feels good to find those strong focuses again, you know? Sebas, AJ, have you ever played any Supergiant Games games? That was a weird way to fucking approach reading that. Okay, yeah, I know, I'm spirit bonded. Relax. Oh, I played Bastion and Transistor. Completed Bastion, didn't finish Transistor. Bastion's sound design fucking kills it. Just absolutely incredible. Transistor didn't there it is. I know. Transistor didn't resonate with me in the same way. The aesthetic is strong, but I couldn't get into the gameplay. The turn mechanic always felt a little bit finicky. Transistor is one of Frey's favorites, if I remember correctly. He's talked to me a lot about the design of that game. I'm waiting for Hades to get out of early access before I try it. I'm also incredibly wary of roguelikes these days. This is the horrible rant that almost everyone disagrees with and no one likes. But the TLDR is that Binding of Isaac ruined indie roguelikes forever. And I feel like a lot of those types of games fucking actually fall apart to persistent progression systems, totally unnecessary and frustrating unlocks, and just the general gameplay boiling down to high roll a strong synergy and then face roll. And of the indie roguelikes or roguelites or roguelite-lights that I've played recently, I think the only game that alleviates that fully, in the sense that, like, you feel like you're legitimately earning your strong runs instead of just being handed a carrot every once in a while, is Monolith. Even Downwell, which I like a lot, and I think can totally be played in a way that alleviates these problems if you just fucking play on handstand. Even Downwell, you can absolutely just high roll to an easy win by picking arm spin style, which is available to you after like game 3, and then just high rolling a run with reverse engineering member card, which you have no control over. Beth says, how much do you recommend Monolith? If you have any interest in either shmups or roguelikes at all, you will love it. Before Relics of the Past, it was like, hey, this is pretty good. If you're an enthusiast about either of these genres, definitely pick it up, you'll have a lot of fun with it. After Relics, I can confidently say that it's probably one of the best roguelikes maybe ever. The breadth of content is amazing, and the unlock system mostly doesn't get in the way with so much additional content that it makes the early game feel a little bit less bare. The other thing about roguelikes is that procedural generation doesn't work for a lot of genres. And doing it correctly, even for the genres where I think it fucking plays nice, involves a whole bunch of manual work anyway. Like, good procedural generation doesn't save you effort. Even Isaac, which I really don't like in general, even Isaac has, like, gorillions of fucking hand-laid-out rooms with a couple of substitutions and transforms available per room to inflate the count to the extent that you think it's being truly randomly generated. Zar says, thoughts on Risk of Rain, and I guess Risk of Rain 2 while are on the subject. I spent a lot of time with Risk of Rain Among Friends, the first one, and I like a lot of things about it, but was kind of disappointed by it, because when I started reaching the general endgame area, where, like, wins started becoming a factor, I realized how much of each run you spent doing nothing. And that even with the pressure of the timer, trying to do the few things that the game demands of you in the early game quickly just wasn't compelling for me. I think Risk of Rain 2 is better in that regard, but the combat balance is kind of intimidating. And I feel like Risk of Rain is absolutely the fucking crown jewel of high roll into synergy type games. I think if you lean into that maximally and create so many wacky combinations that it's not a rare thing, but just like you get a different type of hilariously overpowered run every time, I think if you full-ass lean into it in that way, it can be compelling. But it definitely does feel like sort of a junk food experience. I haven't spent a whole lot of time with it, though, and I'd like to spend a little bit more in the future. But I will say that after my very first game, I save edited to unlock everything, because unlock systems in roguelikes are the devil. Maybe other people are motivated by this shit. I'm really not. My reason to continue playing your game isn't the desire to unlock more parts of it, like it's fucking Cookie Clicker. My desire to continue with your game comes from the fact that I enjoy your game. I don't need the additional motivation, and locking pieces away from me like I need to be led through the fucking maze is patronizing. The unlocks shouldn't exist at all. There's no reason I should be limited from picking something that aesthetically appeals to me from the very get-go. It's not even... The objectives can be compelling, sure, but it would be equally compelling if I was given those objectives in a list of Steam achievements, and then I had every character and every item available from the get-go. Bang, that's it. I also haven't experimented with mods at all. Kurzov says, my friends play with mods within ROR2 and it makes my computer when I commit die. The mods usually make it go loud easy before it freezes, FYI. Like the Wii crash sound, which I would totally play right now if this wasn't a noise safe haven. Mess says, unlocks are a byproduct of the need to have bite-sized objectives that people can tackle on and have a real reward from instead of just a +1 on your Steam page. Yeah, I guess I can understand that. For people who aren't satisfied with the primary and possibly only objective of a roguelike being win at the game, especially when that's a far-away objective, if the game is hard enough to make winning worth dangling over your fucking head as like, hey, but you can't ever do this. Little incremental ways to succeed are really important for keeping people motivated. 32 months from Phosphor, by the way, thank you very much. Sorry for no noise, safe haven tonight. The thing about it is, I'm not sure that has to be related to unlocks. I think there are a lot of little things you can do. Give players a peek at some new content. gated by, like, getting further in the game, where it just naturally appears there. Instead of just, haha, you can experience the early game with this new set of things that you aesthetically resonate with. I don't know. Phosphor says, looping is so much more interesting than winning. Fight me. Why not both? With that in mind, some minor spoilers for Monolith Relics of the Past. I'll switch layouts, and the spoilers will be over when I switch back. So, Monolith... what am I fucking talking about? Monolith ends at 5 floors, except you're given a fucking locked gate to the 6th floor that requires you to accomplish some auxiliary challenges that show up after you've reached that point. You're basically required to collect 4 items that are hidden in different systems of the game, and once you've done that, you've opened up the 6th floor, which is where the actual final boss of the game resides, with a separate final boss available on hard mode. And then after that point, if you pick up another fucking item during your run that goes to the 6th floor, then you basically... It's kind of flavored like you're glitching your way into an out-of-bounds area, and you enter the 7th floor, which contains yet another super boss, and that's your access to looping. There's a lot of content in Relics, and I think it's a really cute way of both giving people the infinite, possibly unfair challenge that they're reaching for, while still having a satisfying and somewhat lore-compliant ending to the game. Alright, we're done. Big fan of that. Nisemono says, every game should have the Rock Band unlock all songs code. Put in a short button combination. Essentially everything in the game gets unlocked, saving disabled. I honestly... we had a conversation recently in the cart community about unlockable characters, and it kind of branched, as these things do a lot of the time, to conversations about unlockables in games that are run at tournaments. Like, where a lot of people will attribute the death knell of Smash 4 custom moves not to Avatar Kong, Master of Wind, which was the funniest shit on the world, by the way, but because it was just such a pain in the ass to actually get a setup with all the custom moves unlocked. And so a lot of games would benefit from a tournament mode sort of unlock, where you can just put the game into either a permanent or temporary state. Have a toggle in the settings, event mode or tournament mode or what have you, that unlocks everything while it's on, and maybe streamlines the menu flow a little bit, so that you can play with everything in an event, and then when you feel like going back to your single-player progression experience, you can turn it off, and not feel like you've lost anything for it. That there's a way to go back. I think that would satisfy a lot of people. And I think even for games that don't require a tournament presence, just trusting the player to have that sort of a switch, I think would do a lot of good for a lot of people. And just label it like, hey, this will temporarily unlock everything. If you're the type of person who hates this sort of shit, this option is probably for you. But if you just want instant gratification but usually enjoy unlocking things, then maybe stay away from this for a while, because we actually put some effort into the progression system and think you'll enjoy it. I don't know. Celeste, I hate when people use Celeste Assist mode as an example of why games should have absolutely no restrictions or design of any kind, but Assist mode was really upfront about its intentions and who it was for, and I think that sort of transparency is a really desirable goal. There says, Cyclone Kong having no end lag when ledge cancelled. We melee. God, that was a wonderful time. The other thing, and I think this is mostly an optics issue, I talked about this in my somewhat rambling review of Kurzpell a while back, but if you have auxiliary DLC unlockable content or what have you, make that shit available as a dummy in training mode if nothing else. If your concern is people playing matches in training mode, I'm sure you have some way of getting around it, but honestly, having to play matches in training mode is so fucking annoying that I think most people feel motivated to buy whatever DLC or unlock whatever thing just by the sheer pain in the ass that is the runaround, you know? Phosphor says, assist mode was just like, we know people are bad at platformers but want the story. The people who want to play a platformer will play a platformer. Feel free to use assist mode. I don't think assist mode is always the right solution. I think for what Celeste was trying to achieve, I think it resonated really well. Because the message of Celeste is basically, do what you want. You're not accountable to anyone. Fucking push yourself as far as you feel comfortable with, but don't ever fucking overextend because you feel like you have to prove something to someone. So in that way, assist mode was the right solution for Celeste, absolutely. But for games where the feeling of overcoming a challenge is completely central to the experience, I know I have this sort of anxiety a lot, where like if I'm presented with selectable difficulty modes, or worse, a set of modular difficulty switches, immediately I get really anxious. Because it feels like at that point, the onus is on me to balance the game for myself. The ability to strip away challenges that I find annoying or arbitrary or ponderous, or what have you. It's like a strong tool. It avoids you having your fucking time wasted. But I always get really anxious that I'm stripping away the experience for myself in some way, where like, would I have enjoyed myself more if I left this option I had a knee-jerk reaction to on and learn to deal with it? Would I feel like I'd overcome something meaningful? Would I feel proud of myself? Or would I just regret leaving it on, realizing that it never gets any better, you know? Even games with like fairly static difficulty settings, just an easy, medium, hard, have to make the choice to allow players to switch their difficulty in the middle of a run or not. And so if you give them that choice, the situation immediately becomes, man, I've been stuck on this section for a while. Would it hurt or help my experience if I notched the difficulty down just for now? Even independent of all like need to prove to myself that that I can do X thing on Y difficulty. Is the satisfaction worth it? Phosphorus says, this is why KIU was fucking brilliant. My only problem was that dying lowered difficulty. Yeah, because that does the fucking Sakurai intensity meter, right? You get a linear scale from like 0 to 10, where it scales difficulty and rewards. So you play at whatever the highest thing you can think of is. And if you die, I know some people complained about this, but death nudging you a little back down to give you a little tap on the shoulder and say, hey, maybe this is too much for you. We don't want you dying. Death is an indicator that something's gone wrong. So maybe try a little bit lower and come back to here when you're ready. You know? I think there's value to that. Frey says, this is my biggest complaint about Nier Automata. The game just abdicates challenge design. Automata is a game that I have a lot of complicated thoughts about. It's one of my favorite releases, and I mean, I will admit, if you were there for the final ending that I played on stream, I don't whole ass start sniffling and crying on stream very often. And this will be no spoilers, but I will say that it's really easy for you to break that game for yourself if you spend even a small amount of time thinking about the way that combat works. It's frustrating in that way, because it feels like you're being punished with a game that's less fun for trying to meet its design objectives. Laz says the VOD is up, right? Yeah, it's somewhere in there. Moji says, see, if I die, I want to go back and practice that section until I get it. And intensity nudging down is irritating to me, but I get their design intent there. It's so dangerous that you walk a fine line offering a player an assist, offering them a safe way to get out of a situation that might be too challenging for them. One of the things that I remember most strongly, I'm not sure why this made such an impression on me, maybe it was the first time I'd seen something like it in an arcade game, but in the fighting game SVC Chaos, when you continue during a single player run, you're given a short screen where you can select between 4 options by pressing one of the 4 attack buttons. And it's something along the lines of AI difficulty down, opponent starts with low life, full super meter, or no assist. And Phosphorus saying this is a general Neo Geo fighter thing, but SVC Chaos is the first place that I saw it. So when you continue, you've sacrificed your quarter. The game is like, hey, want a little help? And it absolutely does feel like, hey, it's a kind thing to do in that genre. Fighting games are notorious for being input-reading quarter munchers. And so it should feel like a breath of fresh air, like an actual act of kindness to an extent. But depending on the mental state you're in, pressing any button but no assist can feel like, at best, giving up, and at worst, the whole thing can feel patronizing. How dare you believe that I need the help, you know? And I think that's largely dependent on what kind of person you are, and what sort of mental state the game has put you in, but as a developer, it's tricky, because you have no way of protecting players from themselves in that situation. As soon as you offer any sort of granularity to the challenge, you have to make dead-ass sure that people know how to pick what will be most satisfying for them. This is why I appreciate difficulty levels that are really, like, cleanly labeled. Like, if you're gonna do easy, medium, hard, easy, normal, hard, one of the little things that helps alleviate my fucking anxiety about strapping in for an X-hour adventure after making a choice that determines basically what the game will demand of me the entire way, is just label that shit. Easy for people who don't play many games. Normal for people who are familiar with games but don't play this style of game often. Hard for people who have played this game or this type of game a lot. Fickle says 9 PM is hardly ass o'clock. It feels weird because it's 9 PM, but for me, my fucking circadian rhythm is telling me it's like 5 a.m. Frey says, part of the appeal to me is of a system as modular as an Automata is optimizing it. But Automata doesn't use that mechanic to say, figure out what playstyle works best for you and use it to its fullest. It uses its RPG mechanics as difficulty selection. Yeah, it's so clear that a couple mechanics in particular, which I won't explain for the sake of people being able to not break the game for themselves on their own playthroughs, it's so clear that a couple mechanics in particular basically exist outside of combat balance. And it's so blatant that it feels super intentional. Chromation says, Falcom loves to label all their difficulties that way. They also add a couple more. Nightmare, may God be with you, and Calamity, it's just extremely difficult. Maya says, I tried 2DX Lightning model today. Ooh. 120 hertz 2DX, man. With like a headphone amp and shit, I want to try that. That actually reminds me, these bone conduction headphones came with a pair of earplugs, which is not an application of these that I thought about at all, but that's so hilarious. Like, you use headphones that leave your ears open, and then fucking plug your ears. So like, if you're in a noisy environment, you can listen to music while still like kind of protecting yourself. And it kind of seems like arcades are like one of the ideal places to do that. Laz says, the turntable resistance option is really nice. Turntable resistance? Yo. I was not aware of that, actually. That's pretty cool. I don't think high refresh rate is going to become standard anytime soon in, like, console gaming. Because everybody's trying to fucking claim that they can push 4K in a box that costs $200 to manufacture and lights on fire if you run it for longer than 20 minutes. Excuse me. But I think arcades, where like the specialized hardware is part of the draw of being there, I really hope that more companies get ahead of the game in that way. Because particularly in falling rectangle games, the higher motion fidelity is so important. Have you ever thought about the specs of like a Groove Coaster cabinet? If you look at the way the menus chug, or how terrible Nessica login actually is when it comes to like the time it takes to process, you know it's not a strong machine in there. It doesn't have to be. Groove Coaster is graphically simple and gets a lot of mileage from smart cabinet design. The focus on the big ass screen does it a lot of good, you know? Fickle says, doesn't Groove Coaster run on like fucking Android or something? Sure does. Was it originally a mobile game? I'm not sure of the actual timeline involved, but I know there was a really well supported Android version for a very, very long time. There you go. Oh, the cabinet itself running on Android? That I don't know about. What I will say is that I wish I could play more Groove Coaster on PC, but the DLC pricing is pretty spicy, and something about the calibration of ad-lib sounds in the Steam version is still pretty frustrating. Is Stepmaniacs Android-based? That's actually pretty cool. Most Bimani games are on XP embedded, with some of the most recent titles being updated to 7 to take advantage of lower latency audio APIs. Fickle says, I heard Steam Groove Coaster is monkey shit. Confusing and fucking contradictory DLC pricing. The item system and weird unlocks still exist, but don't actually get you anything you want. And timing calibration is pretty rough. Fickle says, yeah, and I think the lightning cabinet's upgraded to Windows 10. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I know I've seen crashed 2DX cabinets sitting on the Windows 7 embedded desktop every now and again. See, for me, I experienced high refresh rate before high resolution, because people are talking about the benefits of pushing more pixels. High frame rate for me is something that I don't think I can live without these days. Especially given that I have some issues with motion sensitivity, that high frame rate helps with a lot. I couldn't play card at 35 FPS for very long periods of time without feeling a little sick. And in games with locked field of view or forced dynamic field of view, I have a really rough time staying focused because my stomach starts churning. And so I'm thinking, okay, so refresh rate is required for me to enjoy certain games, like at all. But then I pick up a 1440p monitor, thanks Frey, for the first time. And the visual fidelity isn't what gets me, it's just the ability to have readable text at smaller sizes, fitting more information on screen. If you look at my FF14 UI, at 1440 compared to 1080, I have so much free space on the screen, and yet everything is still just as readable as it was before. Kurzov says, think I'll be heading out now, getting quite late here. Have fun with the :D question mark. I'm having an alright time. Good night, Kurzov. Phosphor says, have you ever seen 2-5 hand positioning? That shit is alien to me. I don't understand how people do it. Benefits. You scratch easier. Drawbacks. Literally all other things about it. Laz says, I wish my round 1 had Waka because my Mai is great, but it doesn't do it. Yeah, my Mai's control method seems a little wacky to me. Waka is still tough for me to figure out. Swipe recognition is still something I'm wrapping my head around, especially forward and back swipes. Also, if forward swipes blindside me, my brain goes into panic mode, and I literally punch the screen. Oops. But, it's a fun game. The cabinet design is simple and clean. Song selection is, I mean, fucking give me more Tennessee. Easy, easy, easy clap. I actually didn't know that it was basically entirely a hardcore Tennessee project until I played it, and like, oh, this is Red Alice's Higher on the fucking title screen. Oh, it's got the Tennessee logo on it. And as a selectable icon, and the entire song selection seems to be Tennessee stuff with the exception of some anime, and it's got a song filter for it. Like, holy shit. And Envy says, the breaking stream emote. God. I think I figured out why that was happening. It was because the new headphones weren't correctly seated, since the plug is a little fat and I have to use a 1/4-inch adapter to get it into my interface. So there was some feedback being caused with like the mic ring or something. I don't know. Frey asks, remember the SF1 cabs that wanted you to punch them? What's amazing is that those became infamous so fast that they actually released a version of the cab with normal ass buttons pretty quickly afterwards. Twill says, Junithim is walk a bit flat, and instead of swiping towards / behind, you raise your hands. Yeah, see, because forward and back swipes seem like the most awkward input in Waka, I really want to play Junithim now. It just seems like such a fucking relaxing, fun experience. The way I look at the way things are charted, and it's like, nah, you can just tap wherever, bro. Just tap stuff. Envy says, I'd find out, but I'm not stoned enough to make that purchase mistake. Probably a good decision, honestly. Twill says, Tyrone plays an 8 to learn and then immediately starts 13s. That's what Sound Voltex is like, where you have to like play a 6 or a 7 to figure out how the fucking controls work at all, and then almost immediately afterwards you can start playing 14s with basically no experience. Like, if you go in with rhythm game knowledge, just the ability to hit the rectangles compensates for the fact that you have no clue where to put your hands when lasers happen. Laz says, you know what I really want? Ongeki. Ongeki looks fun as hell. Also, super on crack. Phosphor says, Yuan is making an Ongeki ASC. I looked at YuanCon stuff the other day, because after being depressed about DDR, I was wondering if it would be more feasible to, like, literally get 2 arcade controllers for other rhythm games for the price of, like, getting a pull pad plus bar shipped into the US. And it turns out that YuanCon is sold out for, everything? What? Chris says, I've been playing a bunch of rare old arcade games at my local spot recently. Electromechanical arcade games are fucking wild. Dude, EM Pinball in particular, if you can get one of the rare EM Pinball designs that doesn't feel like it's designed to get you to drain in 4 seconds, it's so cozy. Zara asks, are plans to hit that one arcade joint for a whole day at Taku still on? Because I'm 100% willing to ditch Taku entirely for a day of Rhythmin. I don't know if literally an entire day. The place closes at 2. So the timeline that I was maybe thinking, depending on when people get in, is doing the Sweet Stream Saturday night. Then Sunday, since almost everyone will have dropped out of all the games they entered, we stick around BYOC for a while, watch whatever top 8s that people feel like actually watching, and then as soon as we decide we're done with the venue for the day, fuck off to Arcade Monsters until 2 in the morning. That's like what I'm speculatively planning. I don't know about walking out on the venue completely for a whole ass day, but considering that after top 8s are over, the place basically closes the fuck down anyway. Phosphor says, Yuan is based in China and coronavirus. Gamma 2's at the same point, by the way. Ah, yeah, that makes sense. So they can't ship because of fucking international pandemic fuckery. How dare health regulations get in the way of my ability to spend unhealthy amounts on fucking rhythm game controllers? This is an outrage. I'm calling the president. Chris says, okay, so the thing is that heading the place up is weird. The really cool one is in Miami, which would require you guys to fly to me and I drive you from Miami. Round 1 is not in Florida yet, and the only good arcade there is a Dave & Buster's. You will probably have to sacrifice Friday to pull road trip bullshit with me to be an arcade monster. The place is literally called Arcade Monsters, and from what I can tell, it's about 30 to 40 minutes away from the actual venue, which makes it plausibly Uberable if people pool. Plus, I think the crowd that I'm showing with is probably going to have a rental car. As well as Twill, you know, being there, and Chris sort of being there, from what I understand. Were you able to take a car up? I forget. But in any case, we could totally make it up there, and it's a place that's literally $16 door fee for free play on every machine. So, pretty good prospect, IMO. I'm gonna switch headphones real quick. The crazy thing about this is that neither the bone conduction headphones nor my ATH M50Xs are 100% comfortable for long-term wear, because apparently my ears are tender as shit. But they are each uncomfortable in opposite ways, which means I can switch between them and go for marathons pretty easily. Twill says, I am very down for helping manage BYOC cart. I think I like the idea of, like, 8-player BYOC cart is definitely something that I want to happen while at Taku. Not to mention, it's definitely going to happen in the fucking suite afterwards, whether or not we stream. Because cart is hype as shit. I get the feeling that Cart and Maiden and Spell are gonna be the two games that everybody's fucking about. Chris says, also I don't mean pinball and electromechanical, I mean some real weird as shit like Fire Escape, which is like a puzzle game. I think I've actually heard of that. Let me see this. Dude, where are you, by the way, that you have a place with this cab? Yeah, this fucking thing. Wild. Pickle says, Taran, hear me out. A fuck ton of cart setups running Battle Royale EXEs. The physical layout of the place is such that we probably can't get more than 2 monitors on a single table, most likely. That's the typical, that's the setup that I'm expecting. So 8p, probably 4 monitors to a table for 16p at the very most. And they're not large monitors, so massive split screen is probably not the best approach either. But it would be really, really fucking funny to get like 32 people on the game. I figure I'll load up with bonus cars and whatever packs have like some FGC picks. The big concern is, oh, do I really not have stealth on? Okay. But yeah, you figure you load up with FGC characters, then do your best to provide 8 compliant controllers so that people don't have to fucking rebind in the middle of shit. Because if you let people plug in their fucking arcade sticks and have to deal with the input binding, I'd have to like learn C and then like do fucking fast bind fighting game style shit where it's just press one input per required input. No double bind menu, no fucking press to confirm shit, nothing like that. Chris says, also Foss, we're probably running sets Friday if we don't have morning pool Sunday. The great part of my portable monitor is that, like Cart, we can run this at the Popeyes across the street if you want. Fucking laptops and portable monitors are the strong tech. The only thing that's gonna get me to break my fucking vow and never buy another game without rollback would be Uniclear on Switch, just because it seems like such a cozy way to have a setup, and because I have converters required for other people to play on it, and my own box is universal. Phosphorus says, unfortunately, Uniclear on Switch is broken. Have they not patched the Carmine shit yet? Twill says, 8 controllers is a bit. I can bring 4. If I trust other people with my Elite, I can bring 5. And depending on the state of repair of my DS4s, I might be able to bring as many as 7. Czar says, oh great, the server's died as I got the FR, I can't submit the score. I think if you leave the game open, your shit will submit. Or maybe it's already been submitted and just doesn't update, because they've talked before about how they try not to lose scores. I think the ideal setup for Cart is literally 8 Xbox controllers, because everybody knows the Xbox layout, and the game works natively with native X input controllers the best. Frey says, I can bring a DS4 and a Wii U Pro Pad. I guess it would also be super appropriate for it to be mixed input device fuckery. Still Fresh says, hello AJ in chat. Hello! Thanks for dropping by. So Fresh says, I just did my first raid on Extreme and I'm moderately still shook. Ruby? Or an older fight? Stepping into Extremes is definitely a pretty big thing, though. Fucking grats on taking the plunge. The first Extreme I did on patch was Tsukuyomi, and I still remember it really fondly as one of my favorite fights. Taking the leap from, like, content that you're designed to win to content that you're designed to fail. It's intimidating, but it's super exciting. Silver says, oh god, never mind, Extreme Trial, Titania, my bad, I don't know the terminology yet. I don't think anybody's gonna look at you sideways if you substitute Raid for Trial or whatever. Personally, I think that the terminology is a little bit wobbly anyway. But yeah, Titania is a great starting point. It's not super mechanically complex, but it is super punishing, which is a good way to get you used to, like, the pace and feel of Extremes. And it helps that the music is a fucking banger, and the fight has a nice variety. I really love the final phase, the way it starts combining things. Best says, AJ, is there any reason I want to toggle on the guns on hold option in Monolith? That's the one that reverses controls that makes it so you auto-fire unless you're holding a button, right? Ah. I can't think of many situations where you wouldn't want to be firing, with the exception of, like, not activating enemies during stealth and stuff like that. So you can try it both ways. Ultimately, it comes down to fucking comfort. Yeah, Eva says, off means you aim with right stick and it just starts firing. On means, yeah, you aim and then hit a button and it starts firing. Yeah, no, I think that option Now I remember what you're talking about. That option, I don't actually see a purpose for it at all. I think the one reason for it is super specialized weird setups like Steam controller stuff. There's no like gazes or anything. There's no need to aim without firing for the most part. Actually, what am I saying for the most part? I actually can't think of a single situation where it would be even useful. Automatically hedging my bet in case I'm wrong, I guess. I'll be just a moment. Give me like 1 or 2 minutes. Alright, we're back. Had to grab some fucking snacks. We are still out of chocolate chip cookies, or chocolate chips. But if I make this recipe with like a couple spoonfuls of peanut butter folded into the dough at the last moment, makes the crumb a little drier, but the recipe actually tastes really fucking good like this. Ian asks, have you been gathering this whole time? Pretty much. Just taking it easy. Your presence reminds me that I need to check to see whether they extended this weekend of the Diabolical beta. Because apparently getting replacement mouse gates is so fucking hard that I actually just ended up getting a new mouse completely, and it should arrive tomorrow. The refinements to Diabotical's one pickup mode so far are pretty funny. The complaint I hear from a lot of people regarding arena shooters is that the weapon you start with is fucking garbage, so it constantly feels like you're fighting an uphill battle. And the way this is solved in Diabotical's free-for-all mode is like the most direct shut the fuck up scrub I've ever seen, because you spawn with the weapon you were killed by, in addition to like the basic blaster. It's like, alright, you think that was an unfair situation? That you had this weapon and they had that weapon? Fine. Here's that weapon. Go do something with it. There's an elegance to it. Jan says Diabolical movement is hard. It is. It took me I think I've become significantly better at it after spending a couple hours breaking my natural instinct to literally auto-hop everywhere. Smoothly turning is hard. In VQ3 style systems, you basically have to, if you're going to do anything other than slightly deviate from a forward path, you have to land, turn at a very precise speed and angle, with like the appropriate fucking keys and shit, make your angle adjustment, and then start hopping again. And says, what's the differences compared to Reflex? Basically, there's no air control in Diabolical, in the same way that there's no air control in Vanilla Quake 3. So you don't have the option to hold W, lock your speed, and then just, like, turn in whatever fucking direction and conserve your momentum. And you also don't have the option to fucking turn while strafing to gain speed like Source style. Most of your turning is done on the ground while trying to maintain as much speed as possible from your hops. Reflex really is good. It's frustrating to me that the server performance is bad enough that I don't feel like I can host games for the people who want to be playing it. Because that's the only thing that's really required for a game to, like, live forever to me. Is that if I want to play it with people, I can fucking start a game and let them in, you know? And the movement is friendly to a lot of people from a lot of different games with skill-based movement. because CPM style movement is basically every strafing style is allowed. I think the only thing easier is Storlag and Quick Champions. Ian says, but AJ, you have a dedicated server, right? Install Windows Nano server on a VM. God, that's brain max. Do you actually think it would perform better than Wine? Is virtualization actually just fucking magic? I don't think it's file IO. I don't know what the issue is because the devs refuse to fucking explain anything. Remember Alamegan Rock Salt moving for a decent amount? Orunday and Camphorwood were undersupplied the last time, though. Hemp is a really easy bet, though. Even though it's a low-level gather, and so the yield bonuses are lower. Frey asks, I wonder if mouse skate fuckery is coronavirus related. Oh yeah, we tried to get literal Chinese mouse skates. I'm willing to bet that they actually didn't have stock because of the shipping restrictions. Frey says, hyperglides from China to IRC. Well, that would do it. So I've got an FK2 on the way. I love the FK1, but I think maybe the 2 would fit better in my hand. And even if it doesn't, it's a burner mouse to throw in like a travel bag or something. And it comes with a replacement set of skates, and the skates are 100% compatible between the FK1 and the FK2. So there you go. Yen says, my next mouse upgrade is a glass mouse mat when I get back into my house. I tried to order one off Reddit, but they ghosted me. Are you looking at the GliPads? Or something similar? Because I think the GliPad guy, he's from the Reflex community actually, stopped manufacturing them for the moment. And also, they were like $800 because of some fucking literally magic chemical surfacing technique. The demo videos are hilarious. You look at the way that stuff purportedly glides on these things. Let me find this. Yeah, here we go. We have the GliPad with furniture polish. And like a fucking paracord. And you just look at... Literally what friction? Shit looks like it has lower friction than fucking air. Why am I sprinting? Phosphorus says, also, God, can we talk about vertical mice? I don't get the appeal personally, but I can totally see how they'd be cozy. Sire says, nice Blizzard Peaks mouse, right? Silver says, vertical mouse user here, had wrist problems for life, vertical mouse helped out big time. So there you go. It's the same way that I literally use a hitbox almost entirely for ergonomic reasons rather than practical reasons. Although I've definitely grown to like the hitbox for a lot of inputs that I used to struggle with. So Yen is linking me fucking 13-pound glass mouse mat. I've never actually used a hard pad before. I'd definitely like to give them a shot. My aim is nowhere near good enough that I feel like I can justifiably spend a fuck ton of money on mouse-related things. But I've always preached the idea of comfort as a baseline, that you'll do better if you're comfortable with your gear, not because it actually makes you better necessarily, but because when you're more comfortable, you practice more. And you stress a little less. I'm kind of skimming the Diabolical subreddit right now. Taking a look at some impressions from the beta. You take it for granted the people who never played Quake don't instinctively understand that you're supposed to be switching between weapons according to a situation, which is half of the fucking game. And it's not just complete casuals either. I know several redacted who have thousands of hours in Dota or even CS and decades of playing competitive games like this, but they still quit this game in frustration after getting completely fucked because they think they can just use the railgun at every distance. It's like that.
Listener support commercial free internet radio.
I've talked about this at length before, but I think... Hey, I got a clap from someone. And a toast. The random interactions while gathering are the weirdest fucking thing. Like, there's a meme among high-end players regarding the overwhelming tendency of the FF14 community to characterize the FF14 community as being the greatest gaming community of all time. I think it's a little overblown, but I still meet some pretty cozy... I have cozy interactions. People are nice. I think something about the way Eorzea is built makes people feel cozy, makes them a little friendlier. So not gonna lie, I think the best thing that Diabolical has going for it in terms of like likeliness to survive among casual players is literally that the LG sucks. The LG in Diabolical is terrible. it basically has zero pushback unless they're in the air. So it's way harder to actually track with and control people's movement with. Like, you don't get pushed at all. You can strafe completely freely, even if somebody traces you for like half a second. And the #1 fucking complaint from like people who jump into Quake Live or some other arena shooter at a low level is that the LG is too strong and has no counterplay. Not even people like bouncing up jump pads and immediately getting LG lifted for an entire stack, but just like at mid-range fights they get traced for 50% because they can't dodge at all, while they get fucking pushed away where whatever weapon they're carrying has no effectiveness. And they're like, what the fuck, what do I do about this? And the answer is to pick up the LG or to take an engagement at a different range. But for a lot of people that doesn't feel sufficient. Because there's something about LG that seems... It's... The ability to outstrafe good LG aim is super non-obvious. So for people, it feels like, hey, I walked into, like, an invisible mid-range bubble around this guy, and he immediately gained the ability to damage me while I can do nothing about it except leave. And so Diabolical solves this perceptual problem by just making the LG actually terrible. I actually think it is just bad. To the extent that, like, rockets are about equal to it at ranges where I would expect the LG to be the preferred choice. Because, you know, the Trinity. The dynamic is rockets, lightning gun, railgun. One is effective close, one is effective at mid-range, one is effective at long range. And in Diabolical, the Trinity is more like rockets, rockets, rail. And rail only doing 60 damage on the first shot, too, is another one of those little anti-frustration things where they're like, yeah, we're okay with making the weapon balance a lot different than you're used to, if it means that people literally don't get peaked after taking like one tick of Rocket Splash and then die. Because the rail damage, which I think is a cute idea, ramps up 60, 70, 80 depending on how many uninterrupted shots actually connect. And 80 is like the baseline in this type of game. Hell, I think QC Railgun still does like 90 or something. But of course, QC has higher starting stacks. Ray says, I love rocket launchers so much that I'm tempted to one day make a competitive shooter that's just 100% rockets. I feel like you are the person who designed the Rocket Arena 1v1 casual mode in Diabolical, where you just spawn with a rocket launcher and another guy in a room, and your goal is to kill each other and self-damage is off, and that's the whole mode. Also, Push is kind of the game you're describing. It's a Doom modification where the goal is to not kill your opponent by damaging them, but by using basically a gigantic fucking push grenade and a push railgun to like shove them off of the map Smash Bros style. Rockets are immediately compelling to everyone, I think. The weapon's easy to make satisfying to fire, and it feels like, even when it isn't, there's that feeling of an element of prediction being present. Like, yeah, I deserved that hit. I worked so hard for that shit. What I've played of Diabolical so far has me pretty hopeful. My only complaints right now are networking and UI scruples. and maybe the HUD editor. The default HUD is kind of shit IMO, and I wish it was a little bit simpler with health and armor more central. But the editor is decent, and you can even share presets to some extent just by copying a single line out of your settings INI. They've said that they want the ability for you to click on someone's profile and to have buttons right there to copy like their FOV, their sensitivity, their HUD, shit like that. So you can basically steal settings from top players and be like, hey, now that I'm using Steel's crosshair, I'll finally be good at CSGO, shit like that. Frey says, speaking of HUD, why isn't there an option to fit the Halo MCC radars around the crosshair? How many people would use that? It does sound kind of busy. Plus, most game modes don't have radar, at least in my experience. I'm not sure, maybe they've changed the playlist since then. I think radar is only present in, like, Auto Slayer for, fucking Anniversary. And only in, I don't think it's present in any competitive mode in Reach. Although I think it is in most casual modes. I dig the information central around crosshair layouts, though. If fucking Suint is still here, I gotta steal the idea from you where you have your fucking game clock right under your crosshair for pickup times. I don't recognize any of the pickups in Diabolical right now, so right now I've got the pickup notifier right under crosshair. I'm like, which fucking armor did I just pick up? Oh, it's 50, okay. Oh yeah, the one big complaint. Team collision. Take that shit away. Frey says, I've got one giant brick of information at the bottom of my FF14 screen. I mean, same to an extent. If I switch to a combat class, I can show off the way that I've got things structured mostly, but you can see where my buffs are. My debuffs are opposite that. I can fucking cast some random shit on myself, focus target myself, and start a cast bar. And you can see that I've pretty much got all information stacked around my character, which is where I'm watching, so that I have fairly minimal eye movement. Party list right there, focus target right there, cast bars fucking as central as I could possibly make them. Buffs and debuffs on your target here. Duty gauge to the right of that, and then hotbars at the bottom. I think the thing that catches most people by surprise about my HUD is the fact that I don't actually use a, what am I fucking talking about? I don't use the parameter bars at all. I only monitor my HP and MP through the party list. Because if I'm gonna have the party list open anyway for the majority of content, why have it in two places? It's like the fucking meme on like phone customization threads, implying two clocks. I had a good time with tea leaves as well. These moved pretty well. It really is just as simple as I literally don't understand why you would have this information in two places. And I think the answer is probably because people get very used to not watching the party list at all if they play DPS. Which is hilarious to me. And it says, hey AJ, guess what Windows Server VM over SSH looks like? Oh my god? You're kidding. Is this a shitpost? What? That's fucking awesome. Frey says, I don't look at the party list ever while playing Black Mage. Yeah, and I've noticed you're still getting into the habit of it for Red Mage, since you should be first priority for raises in a lot of cases. You've gotten better about it for sure. Meanwhile, we were playing with BM the other night, and the guy explained, well, I'm used to being first priority for raise and raising on like the first available GCD because Ruin 3 used to be less potency than healer GCDs. It's like, ooh, damn. Frey says, also I should probably just call out the res when I'm setting up dual cast. Yeah, the idea is to call out the intent to res, not the action, so that nobody preps anything or blows any resources that would be required to raise before the raise is actually activated. So like, I'll call raise before I pop my Swift. Like, you don't have to use Swift for it, so... It obviously, to you, doesn't feel like you're blowing anything except 2400 MP. But, for healers, losing Swift is sometimes, well, for White Mage, it's one of your only ways to move during combat. And with a hard raise time of 8 seconds, that you have no way to skip, well, you know. We're talking about server stuff. All the improvements made to Cart recently make me smile. It only sunk in kind of recently just how much fucking time I've actually been spending with that game. And I think it's my fucking best example now of like, hey, guess what games would be worse with matchmaking? And the answer is pretty much everything below fuck huge size. Frey says, Red Mage's only way to regen mana is Lucid since the rotation is slightly negative, so 24% mana is non-trivial. You unironically have an easier time with mana than healers do. Even White Mage at like 2500 Piety, the best of the healers with managing mana by far, Cure 3 is still like a quarter of your mana bar every time you have to use it. Yeah, and if you're Astro or Scholar. Ian says, am I going to need to support SRB2K map files to avoid asset loss? I think... Zone Builder's terrible, and the Doom map format is a fucking mess. But it also allows literally anyone to basically just draw shapes and create a map. Like, at a baseline, it's really, really fucking easy to make simple things, and then it becomes unbelievably fucking annoying to make complex things. And I think the easy access to super straightforward, idiot-friendly editing tools is part of why games, and anything that's like Doom derivative or Doom compatible, does so well in terms of extended community support. Fickle says, the Doom map format is terrible, but Zone Builder's among the best tools for working with it. Oh, don't misunderstand. I don't mean to shit on the people working on Zone Builder or anything. It's just that the way you have to specify complex things in the format is super fucking annoying. Just the entire concept of vertex slopes and floor over floor nonsense. Both things that basically take you entirely out of the standard editing flow and into weird Doom object fucking nonsense. I've actually been thinking about piety melds recently, because this is the first time I've had a high amount of piety while raiding before. And I do think it's avoided a lot of problem situations. Like, it has absolutely saved us. And I'm trying to think about, like, I gotta run the numbers compared to, like, what do I really lose melding piety versus, like, a low priority substat? Should I be going for 4K piety during prog and just fucking around and GCDing absolutely everything? Is that my role during prog? Just bring a second set of crafted gear melded with fucking offensive shit when we start getting to enrage prog, put on the entire new set, drop for 3,500 piety and be like, okay, we're good to go. Fickle says, I spent an entire hour last week doing nothing but assembling a long set of vertex slopes. God. Yeah, slopes in SRB2 and cart are basically not even part of the standard way of specifying geometry in Doom at all. Like, even worse than floor over floors are kind of not part of geometry. Slopes are really, really not part of geometry. And so the editor, the way you work with these in the editor kind of takes you out of the flow of just like draw shapes and adjust heights and into the realm of like manually specifying sector properties and like pinning shit. Capitan says, piety is for religious people, my only god is glare. See, because now that we've... I spent so long in basically my first I've cleared the tier, now what phase after Titan, but getting back to prog now has me kind of shaking myself outside of the speed kill mindset again and thinking about like, wait, how hard can I carry a group as a healer? How hard can I assist in prog just by abandoning all premise of personal performance and just like playing ridiculously absurdly safe to the point of insanity? Can I become like a prog asset that can heal people through every failed mechanic? And the answer for a lot of fights is, hey, if you're down one person for Furious 14, there's no fucking helping you. Sorry. But for a lot of other stuff where people are able to survive at like 2k HP, like a lot of mistakes regarding Vacuum Slice or the Garuda Balls in E6. Best says, IRC, the comfy amount of piety that doesn't make your DPS die too much is around 1100, so you shouldn't be going over that. See, what's crazy now is that my set has 2600 piety on it, and I have melded exactly 0 piety, because there's just so much piety loaded onto the crafted set. Then, like, the Eating Call body, which I got first, is crit piety, and the Ruby Cane is debt piety. Ray says, well, for Furious 14, you can have exactly one person down. Sometimes. I don't think for the second Furious 14 you actually can, or at least the majority of the time you can't, because that also relies on the safe lane being at far north or far south. For the first one, you can hit the horrible corner safe spot with no luck required, as long as people adjust correctly. But for the second one, like, you're fucked if safe lane isn't far north or far south. Capitan says the safe lane is also always the two middle ones. Oh. I expected it to be fully random, actually. We didn't spend a whole lot of time seeing it, and I figured, I don't know, luck or whatever. Yeah, so there you go, for second Furious 14. There's no saving you, everyone must be up. I don't know how I feel about mechanics like that, which are basically just have no depth to the previous mechanic or fight over. It does make prog kind of frustrating at times. I felt similarly about Tsunami 2 and Stormy Horizons. Whereas in comparison, Chain Lightning from E5 is like, you can cover for a death here with an adjustment that is a little stressful and shaky, but feels pretty good. That says, if it was far south, the far north person would be royally fucked. Imagine a fight where you're required to use rescue for anything. Capitan says, yeah, I think that's a third fight plus kind of thing, or even ultimate kind of thing. Yeah, in the sense that, like, in the last tier, there was Tsunami 2 and Stormy Horizons, but then in Titan you also had basically everything to do with uplifts, and how a double target during that section would basically screw everything up. Although those were often still savable as long as the oranges were resolvable. You just have someone sack a yellow and a blue, and then, like, try to keep moving. E5 was pretty cool. I wasn't expecting to hit Enrage on E6 so quickly, though. It kind of felt like third phase. It seems like the final phase is missing the combination of everything that pulls it together. Is that a crazy thing to think? It doesn't feel like it has that final combination. Osfer says, to go back to Levi, there's no Su 2. I mean, Su 2 wasn't that for me, it's just like... I don't know, something as simple as those last currents after Stormy. Or not after Stormy. After Black Smokers. It's missing something that ties the final phases back to the first phases. And so I'm sitting here like, alright, so where's the reincorporation that ties it all together? And then instead, the Enrage starts casting. Frey says, I appreciate that these new raids have added not just phones for failing mechanics, which just makes healers hurt, but damage downs, which hurts DPSs where it counts, their parses. I mean, the simple solution that hurts everyone equally is just to kill players, which I think is what it does for almost all of the fucking mechanics in every fight. Just fail it and die. Which I think is straightforward enough. I think I'd still like to see a version of Final Fantasy XIV, and this isn't something I've thought about at length necessarily, but it's something that's been in my head for a while. A version of FF14 where battle races are less accessible. And this ties back to my thoughts on the nature of casual content. Where casual content really is because of the amount of downtime between mechanics and the degree to which healers are allowed to slack off. Players that have no understanding of how to, like, approach the game at all, not even on a casual level, are allowed to battle raise 20 times and limp through fights that they don't really have any business passing if the intention of the fight is to check whether you've understood and are able to execute a given mechanic. Battle raises are so accessible. And I think it limits how hard you can even make casual content. Which I think presents an issue with regards to, like, taking players through the learning process. Though, of course, the idea is that you don't necessarily need to make casual content hard, as long as you put sufficient gates into the MSQ to guarantee that someone can't progress without demonstrating a basic understanding of the design language of the game. But whenever it's something that requires anything more than a small amount of your, like, the minimum possible amount of your attention shows up in the story, and I'm sure this is a vocal minority to a large extent, but also keep in mind that people who are less invested in Final Fantasy XIV and don't necessarily have the fucking fucks required to make a big long forum post might be worse than the vocal minority. Stuff like the Lakshmi flavored trial, or the final Xenos fight, or even, as somebody demonstrated on the official forums the last time I brought this up, the 80 tank roll quest. Even with the introduction of Very Easy, people are still like, I can't do this. How dare you? Steps of Faith is another big one, although Steps of Faith was outside of solo duty stuff. It was just something that everybody had to go through and was progressively nerfed like 4 or 5 times or something. Frey says, so crank res mana usage from 24% to 50%? Maybe even something as drastic as once you've been battle raised, you can't be battle raised again until the barrier comes down. Or, like, give res 2 or 3 charges with, like, a 10-minute recast. Because the only situations in which PSO2, a game with similarly, possibly even worse battle raises, similarly accessible battle raises, was able to create difficulty, was just by imposing situations where after X number of deaths you die. Like forced party wipe. Yeah, that or making resurrections only available through limit, that would be pretty funny. I actually like that idea. And the thing about DPS checks is that I think there's a reason they're absent from almost all casual content, and it's because there's no way to fix failing a DPS check in the instance. If you execute the whole fight correctly and still fail a DPS check, there's nothing you can do about it except leave the instance and go learn your job and then try later. You can't teach someone how to actually do damage in the instance. And so DPS checks are understandably shied away from in casual stuff just because it creates a failure condition that is unresolvable for the group if it ever becomes relevant. Personally, I don't think there's any business having DPS checks in the game without actually having some way to measure how close you are to the check or what each individual person is fucking contributing. So you can fucking address problems and make decisions based on how likely you are to actually pass stuff. But, yeah. As said, it's important to actually know your job, and learning how to be effective doesn't always come whilst trying to run high-end content. The closest the game actually gets to trying to explicitly tell you how your job is intended to be played is the monk quests, where they have you use each weapon skill in a combo on a dummy. Not even like in a combat situation either. You like walk up to the dummy, press boot shine, fucking listen to a cutscene, then press the next skill, then another cutscene, then a next skill, then another cutscene, and that's, you know. I've said this before, but I'll say it again. There needs to be some kind of balance between absolutely no information and transcendent information about you and everyone around you. No in-game parser? That's okay. But there needs to be some method of fucking assessing performance that isn't the lawns, because the lawns isn't helping. Stone Sky Sea isn't helping. Something as simple as, like, give me fucking a letter grade after I leave an instance. FFLogs already kind of has this concept where you can grade a group and individual players in the group based on, like, clear time and, fucking... what do they call it? Finesse? Again, it's some measure of, like, how much damage everyone in the group took compared to, like, other groups that ran the same thing. Even for dungeons, which don't lend themselves super well to fucking analysis. You can segment out bosses, you can take the runtime of the runtime of the dungeon as a whole. You can almost certainly do some interesting things with regards to, like, what is the average damage that an auto attack hit you for as a tank? So are you mitigating correctly? Are you using your tools in appropriate places? Execution, yeah, I think that's probably what it was. It doesn't have to be percentiles, it doesn't have to be direct comparison, it doesn't have to show you the stats of anybody but you. But there is legitimately such a low level of challenge present in the game as a whole that people have absolutely no fucking idea whether they are playing well at all. And it becomes a problem because without some degree of challenge, it short-circuits a lot of the design intent of the game as a whole. I can't feel afraid of a strong villain if while I'm fighting them, they're fucking no threat to me at all, and I can effortlessly stand in everything with a single regen. It fucking short-circuits the feeling of fights if I'm allowed to fall asleep during them and not be fucking... and nothing changes at all, you know? In the same way that people complain, how dare you hold me back from being able to progress in the story because I don't know how to play, because I'm not good enough for this content. I'm gonna fucking hit you with the other side. I'm gonna say, how dare you rob me of the experience of doing this by completely failing to challenge me? How dare you allow people who don't care at all to experience this as you intended, but someone who's willing to put time into the game to fucking figure out how it works isn't allowed to have the same kind of experience? Where is my hard mode MSQ? Why are we going in the wrong direction for that? Why are we still fucking presenting one mechanic that you've been seeing for 60 odd levels at a time with 45 seconds in between in MSQ fights? As if somebody who has reached the final expansion of the game and went through 70 plus levels beforehand has no clue how to play any of it. Oh wait, job potions. Ah shit, for a minute there I thought we might be arriving at a solvable problem. Ain't that something, huh? And so the only way to resolve that issue, the only way to have a consistent build of challenge throughout the entire game, instead of literally everything from level 30 to level 80 being of the same difficulty unless you step into extremes, the only way you can resolve that is by requiring job boost players to go through some kind of fucking quick training instance or something. Some fucking 12-step 1-week program where they figure out the basics of the game. And maybe don't let them the fuck out until they've demonstrated an understanding of the design language that allows them to participate in the rest of the content. This isn't about keeping bads out of my PFs or whatever. People can be as bad as they want to be. Like, unironically, I don't pay your sub. And while it's frustrating to see people slacking off and disrespecting other people's time in group content, I think it's hard to distinguish that problem from people who are genuinely struggling, and so I think there's always going to be something like that in place, and there's no way to solve it on a systemic level. You just have to fucking report bad actors and let the system work. But the massive gap between your average casual player and people who are even paying a small degree of attention to the game creates an issue where a huge amount of content simply cannot be enjoyed by both groups. If you play at a level where you're like clearing Savage tiers in even a couple weeks, even like on patch at all, there's a good chance that almost all dungeon and story content is mind-numbingly boring to you. And man, it doesn't feel fair to be limited just to extremes and Savage, to have something interesting to do. Dabbling in DPS some more has helped with that, because there's definitely a lot more to do when you're managing a class with a more complex rotation. I think tanks and healers get the worst of it because healers have no job at all in casual content, to the point that it is actually disgusting. It is fucking upsetting how bad the game is to play as a healer in almost all casual content. Like, more people don't play tanks because tank has a very visible role that requires you to fucking be able to navigate dungeons that are often labyrinthine and complex with mechanics you've long since forgotten. And because your mistakes are incredibly fucking visible. Sure. That's why people don't play tanks. People don't play healers because either the game has completely misled them on how healing actually works, and so every time they heal, they're using 10% of their kit, and the entire experience is a nightmare fuck, because they feel like they're barely keeping up with the demands of the game, because they've been taught incorrectly, or not taught at all. Or, you don't play healers, because when you queue for casual content on a healer, you're doing nothing but pressing one fucking filler button and wanting to die. While raising people who, like, fall over to literally everything. Shouldn't it fucking say something that I've spent more time recently gathering than on combat content? That I've spent probably well over 50 times the amount of time I've spent in dungeons over the course of Shadowbringers as a whole. Out here in fucking Dravania, clicking on shrubs. Gathering is cozy, but that kind of a gap? Really? Oh, I have 830 Sky Builder's Tea Leaves. Huh. When did that happen? Where's my Spirit Bond potion? I should probably, the next time I get a Spirit Bond notification, I'm going to clean up that trigger a little bit so that it only goes off when something is actually ready to be materia extracted. Not for, actually using the Spirit Bond potion itself. So what am I fucking thinking? Where next? Capitan says, I think to be a bit more optimistic about it, I personally see casual content as a low-stakes place to be able to learn how to optimize my class on a personal level. Oh, absolutely. I mean, as somebody who I think could probably be said to be, like, legitimately average at best at the game, in Stormblood, and definitely in Heaven's Word, the place I fucking cut my teeth on learning to heal was Alphascape Normal. I legit just sat there and ran fucking raids that, at the time, overwhelmed me with healing demands, especially with AFK co-healers, and I just ran them over and over and over again until I parsed orange and felt like I knew the fight like the back of my hand, and I came out of that experience pretty much where I'm at now. With a better understanding of how to fucking approach triage and the opportunity cost of using some combat actions over others. Yeah, that bing bong boom. You know what's up. And that has a purpose. But then, like, it feels punishing to get better and feel like parts of the game and huge swaths have lost their magic, you know? Also, as long as I'm complaining about, like, weird pipe dream problems, can I just say I wish tanks had a little bit more personal agency? Tanking is intimidating to me, not because I actually think the things that are required of you are difficult, but because whether or not you do your job seems to have very little bearing on whether you fucking die in dungeons. Paladin is better for this, for me, just because, like, as much as I meme about it, it is really nice to have clemency for when your healer is actually eating pains and struggling and has no idea how to approach the game. Where are the fucking rune logs, man? They're like all the way over here at the swing, right? Yeah. But like, you can do your job correctly as a tank and pull an appropriate amount of mobs that normal players would be able to handle, and rotate your cooldowns efficiently, and keep the damage you're taking to a minimum. And then if your DPS suck, or your healer sucks, you'll just die anyway. It feels frustrating. Because the entire time I feel responsible for assessing the ability of my party members, and it affecting how much I'm allowed to do my job in the first place. To the extent that, like, why is this like a social contract type of thing that I have to enter into? You compare, like, healer responsibilities. You don't choose shit. The damage comes in and you heal it the best you can, and if you can't, you fucking tell the tank to slow down. That's a simple interaction. And if you're a DPS, you kill shit and you have nothing to do with anything else that happens. If the tank and healer are bickering, you have nothing to do with it. Or at least you're allowed to think that you don't. But it definitely felt like leveling Dark Knight and leveling Warrior for a long time. That I was stuck at the mercy of my party. Twill says, I got baited by a tank who asked me how hard he should pull and then proceeded to use no CDs. It was a great time. Yo, when people wall-to-wall and then act upset that they have to use cooldowns, there's like that particular kind of pug tank who gives you the long dramatic text sigh, and they're like, well, guess I'll use cooldowns because this healer isn't pulling their weight. Bro, what do you think the cooldowns are for? What do you think it costs you to hit one button? Like, where did you map your reprisal? In fucking Switzerland? Beth says, I had a tank that pulled single packs and used all their CDs on that single pack. That's my favorite. This is why I don't even bother to talk to tank players anymore. Because I've had this interaction multiple times where somebody will like be doing double pulls with no cooldowns, and I'm like, hey, could you use your cooldowns? This is a little rough for me. And then I watch them as they are approaching the next single pull go Rampart, Sentinel, Sheltron, fucking Reprisal, Hallowed Ground, and then Shield Lob. This has happened to me multiple times. It's crazy. Says, help, the Maiden and Spell stories are too fucking cute. Arcanist is my favorite, she's amazing. But EX1 and EX2 are also bait for me specifically. Have you done those yet? Rye fucking pops out of the woodwork. Arcanist is the best! Fresco Spinny, yes! Frey says, dear God, I'm so tired of single pull Mount Gulg. I don't know why it's not acceptable for healers to pull more mobs and bring them to the tank. That should be like a gift, shouldn't it? That should be the... with aggro basically not being a mechanic at all. The healer saying, hey, I can handle more, let's speed things up. Your response to that should be, hey, thanks. I'm glad we're able to finish this in a more efficient manner that benefits us both. But instead, the universal reaction of every tank player is to rage quit, shirk you, not pick up anything at all, or just leave the dungeon. The you pull, you tank mentality, I get that it's appealing, but holy fuck. Imagine how selfish you have to be to believe that you get to dictate the pace of the run just because you have the highest HP pool, when you're effectively holding 3 other people hostage. Have a little compassion, have some fucking empathy for the people that you're playing with. If you're unsure of yourself as a tank, sure, that's fine. Me picking up mobs is saying, we can do this. I trust you, and I trust myself. Let's fucking get it done. And it seems so hard to have a conversation about that. And so I want to be the amazing tank. I want to be the tank that fucking wall pulls everything and can do it alone. And it feels like I can only do that when I have all of my shit available, and every time I step into like roulettes or something, especially if I'm leaving myself open to getting low-level content, I feel like I'm signing... I'm playing Russian roulette for whether or not I'll be able to actually, like, do what I feel like I should be able to do for my group, you know? Plus, like, this is 2 sides of the coin from somebody who's played both roles, although I'm more comfortable on healer by a long shot. You pull, you tank, and, like, you're not worth my mana to raise, are equally dumb. They are both terrible. It is a character flaw if you play in this way, and you should do better. As if somebody is fucking personally attacking you because they dared to inadvertently stand in an AoE. As if it benefits anyone in your group to try and not heal someone thinking you're teaching them a lesson, when in reality, they're tabbed out reading Reddit, learning absolutely fucking nothing except that next time they should treat the healer they meet with even more adversarial bullshit from the get-go, because you're conditioning them to believe that this is how it works, and the two other people in your group are forced to run a fucking dungeon that's slower than it had to be because you felt like you wanted to be a hero. Have a little empathy. Be better. Anyway, thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Next week on the podcast, we'll talk about whether healers that use AoE DPS skills are literally Hitler. Frey says, I kind of feel like healers should be given more interesting rotations and become green deeps, and healing and casual content become officially mistake fixing. It's... I feel like the expectation of someone playing a healer, like there's no way to ignore how people expect healing to work in this game. The way healing actually works is a massive violation of expectations because people expect to be spending the majority of their time focused on healing. The thing is, difficulty balancing healers that are required to be maximally engaged with triage at all times is difficult. Because, like, somebody just simply not knowing how to heal you, if somebody can't keep up with triage at all, there's no way to resolve that problem in the instance, like I keep talking about for DPS checks. If somebody's just bad at triage or not fast enough, your group will fail 100% of the time, and there's nothing you can do to resolve it by changing your strategy. You just have to try again. And I think the casual content in this game is built around the premise that no one person should be able to cause that situation. That you shouldn't be able to be blocked from progress because one person is just not doing anything at all. And boy, oh boy, is that a double-edged sword, huh? I'll be back in a moment again. Gonna refill my water.
Great track by Portishead. You can learn a little more about other tracks by Portishead. Go to sumfm.com and click on Song History for Lush.
I go upstairs to refill my water, and the roomies are watching TV, and I come up just in time to see someone's head blow up. And I'm sitting here like, damn! Is that a practical effect? Is that CG? Pretty good. Like, whole ass gore explosion. And so the whole way back down here, I'm thinking like, damn, special effects are fucking something. How do you even create that effect? Like, regardless of the whole fucking thing being slightly disgusting, what in the fuck? How do you do that? Shit's magic. Good night, Seb. Thanks for keeping me company. Twill says, literally blowing something up that is preferably not alive. What's crazy is that this guy's head blows up, like, in the middle of a sentence. So we go from, like, fully articulated, natural-looking human face to, like, bam. Like, how? Magic? People working their asses off at these crafts, man. I keep wanting to get over my eternal hatred of the Adobe software suite and start learning After Effects and getting into, like, actual fucking motion graphics type stuff. I'm not a designer in that way, I think, but it'd be a useful skill to me for me to have for a variety of reasons. But the field seems so intimidating. It's not like how I felt with music or with fucking a lot of audio production type stuff or anything adjacent to the weird interdisciplinary clusterfuck that is streaming. Phosphor says, it's really funny to watch, like, the shift from practical effects to VFX to mixing in horror shit. Yeah, swinging all the way to, like, the entire movie's computer generated, and then swinging back and kind of, like, combining the best aspects of computer-assisted special effects with just whole-ass fucking ballistics. Twill says, before I go to bed, one of the Dragon Nest Windsneaker equivalents has Arrow K lightning legs on a 3-second cooldown. And the other got too tired of kicking, so now she summons tornadoes with her fists. Man, I'm gonna have to fucking give that dragon nest shit a try sometime, huh? It'll happen eventually. I don't usually do lyrically driven stuff on this stream, as far as background noise. But I think this has been a pretty cozy vibe tonight, huh? Kind of get a smattering of opinions. I mean, don't get off on my behalf. If you're fucking cozy, if you're like in bed snuggled into a blanket or something, fucking stay there. Do not get up. That is an order. You fucking stay where you are. You have a wonderful night, you beautiful human. But for the rest of you fucking insomniacs, y'all seem to think it's alright? That's cool. We'll keep this shit in the back pocket. This is Lush on Soma FM. Non-profit community internet radio. And I swear that is not a real station ID. I am just a dude with a $100 condenser microphone and an unhealthy amount of free time. What's what they always say? A voice for radio and a face for radio? Phosphor says, I would not mind you hosting an internet radio station, though. I've thought of it. I'm so wary of music copyright stuff in any capacity other than incidental, you know? As soon as you become responsible for distributing and hosting the content yourself, you open yourself up legally to some scary stuff. But hey. Phosphor says, you got those, like, real late-night voice vibes and strong taste. Well, I'm glad people generally enjoy. I don't listen to as much music as I'd like, but streaming gives me a good chance to catch up on stuff and discover things I might not have found otherwise. I know a lot of people use channel points for song request stuff these days now. One of my housemates, Daryl, twitch.tv/waifugate, card game and ARPG streamer, does that shit. And I think it's a cool way of doing things, but I don't know if I'd ever want to do that myself. My audio is too much to me. You fuck with the vibe, you die. You fucking die. You die instantly. No trial, just die. Immediately. Frey says, that's the new tagline for my game. No trial, just die? Phoenix Wright fan game, except it's actually a fucking DMC clone. I should drop back home and check on my ventures. Frey says, Phoenix Wright, trial by combat? Oh. Fuck off. Fuck off. with. Oh, it's so good. You've got to do it now. You know you have to. Oh, I literally have over 1,000 Sky Builders tea leaves. That's pretty cool. I should probably put my Gather Materia in here as well. Since selling this as is a pretty tidy profit. Sire says, how long can you defend against level 3 X-Factor Virgil with only Phoenix Right? I mean, hey. Up back does you good. Just mash super, bro. I'm so confused whenever I fucking get Demi Materia. Just dice rolling. I don't know how much longer I'm gonna go tonight, but I think I can at least get a fucking couple of stacks of another common material. So what actually moves? Flax for sure. Flax and vines, actually. And vines are gonna have a higher yield bonus. Even if the vine area is kind of annoying because there are level like 65 or something bushes around that you can totally hit with your node locator skill that totally do not have the right thing. Maybe the next upgrade in the setup is a chair that doesn't make that horrible fucking noise every time I shift, like, 1 inch. It's interfering with the vibe. We can do better. So the patch drops on Tuesday. I figure my odds of being able to alarm clock things are pretty good, right? Ah. Right, I forgot about that, didn't I? Capping tomes is the shittiest. Maybe I can catch a hunt train or something. See how those perform on the new machine. It just feels bad to be forced back into casual content that I seriously don't even want to be doing. The new dungeon's fucking forced single pull intro and walls everywhere. I want to go fast and the game isn't allowing it. It's frustrating. Playing Sub-Zero, etc. Frey asks, which is more frustrating, Sub-Zero or Ice Mage? Ice mages bother me because I feel like there should be some kind of design cue where, like, if you're sitting in ice phases at full mana, you should die. Like, legitimately, maybe it would make the class a little bit more punishing and, like, front-loaded. But I genuinely think that if you sit in the wrong phase at, like, full or zero mana for longer than a certain amount of time, it should actually start, like, stacking up something that burns you to death or something. We've already accepted the idea that you can become overly aspected with a certain element of Aether or something and just die. So why not apply that as a fucking design cue to push people into, like, actually alternating their phases? Because it's seriously way too common of a thing. People who literally just sit in ice. Frey says, maybe that's the Astral Fire 4 / Umbral Ice 4 gimmick. Yeah, but at that point, you've been learning the job for too long. It needs to be introduced early to, like, get you into the fucking habit of actually switching between phases, going from 100 to 0 to 100. Because people whiff on that core concept, and there's nothing in the game currently to, like, stop them. If they get it wrong and they don't understand how it works, they're just allowed to keep going. And it causes problems later when they can't, like, actually participate in combat in a meaningful way. Not just in group content, but in solo content, too. In general, FF14's really afraid of putting up gates. Like, really, really, really afraid. For, like, kind of a ridiculous amount of time. Like, protect the player from failure in the intro of the game while they're still learning the ropes and figuring out, like, what there is to do and, like, how to control things. But how long can you be playing the game before the game has to decide, hey, you can't actually have any fun past this point engaging with the combat content unless we know that you know about X, Y, and Z. And I mean, the number of people who are ice maging or fucking caustic only barding or what have you. People who don't AoE literally at all, etc., etc. There are so many of those people that I find that apparently they still do find some value in the game regardless, but it's hard for me to believe that they wouldn't enjoy things more if they had a little bit better of an understanding of what to do. Because I get anxious when I don't understand. And I can't imagine that it's a unique feeling. The idea that I've failed to grasp something, that other people are aware of something that I'm not, it kind of weighs on me. I'm like, hey, I need to figure this out before I can go further, because otherwise this is gonna fucking burn a hole in my brain. Yo, this vibrato's going crazy. Holy shit. Yo. They had to fade in a new fucking synth to carry that line because the initial one just fucking fucked off completely. This is not at all what I expected this to be. Frey says, I literally can't comprehend the ice mages because the face gimmick immediately seemed so obvious to me. Right? And this is the problem with me trying to, like... I want to teach people. but I have a fundamental issue when I try to teach people that comes from, like, I can fucking tutor anyone in basically anything that I know. If it's a one-on-one type deal, like, I will make people understand shit they thought they couldn't. But if it's an impersonal thing, if I just have to fucking put something out there, a guide or a video, or, I don't know, maybe a system of tutorials in an MMO, just as a hypothetical example, I have no guarantees that what I'm saying is going to resonate with everyone. Maybe a good amount of people, sure, but sometimes you get the fucking misunderstandings that come from a place outside the system entirely, and there's no way to diagnose those. Which is why I think a check is required. Because single-player games do this. It's weird to me that people talk about MMOs like, how dare you put up a gate in front of me, when single-player games, almost all of them, have some kind of structure that requires you to have completed a given challenge or objective before moving on to have more of the mechanics exposed to you. People arguing I shouldn't have to pass the 80 role quests to see the story. It's like, well, I shouldn't have to beat 1-1 to get to 1-2. And it's like, no, you're right. In the sense that, like, everything about both of those systems is completely arbitrary. But if you play video games, as many of these people seem to quite often, what about this situation in particular tilted you? Why is what's happening here unacceptable? The escape hatch for the developer in situations where you have absolutely no guarantee that somebody is going to pick up on what you're trying to teach, for whatever reason, is that you put up a gate that requires them to fucking understand before they can go through. Because challenges later are going to be designed under the pretense that the player knows, like, they speak the language. And so, the ideal flow in this situation, these are level 60 bushes, fug, is that somebody who has managed to miss the face change gimmick for whatever reason, right? Somebody who's managed to miss the face change gimmick runs up against a situation where they are required to, like, execute their rotation correctly for at least a loop or two, or they can't get through some DPS check or something. I don't know, this is the most basic form of it, and I'm sure I can come up with this in 5 seconds, so people more intelligent than me, with more time to think about it, can think of a more natural way to do this. And if you run up into a situation where you can't do this, have it prompt some additional fucking help, and if that still doesn't work, this player with no way forward either goes and does something else, or searches for information outside of the game that helps them understand whatever they're fucking missing, since the game can't impart it to them. Of course, this is a place where you might lose them. And because FF14 is going for player retention, because it's, like, the basic model of the game is that you have to continue playing in order to continue paying, then there's no gate. And instead you have somebody running around with no foundation to learn anything else that the game wants to present you with. And I think of a world where I don't understand how, like, even the most basic mechanic of my class functions, and I think of trying to progress through the game, doing, like, even something as simple as overworld and story content, with no fucking clue of what's going on, seeing all these new buttons suddenly fill out my bars and not understanding what those are for either. Having arrived at something that seems to work and leaning on it because the alternative is a mystery? That's terrifying and frustrating to me. And I can't be the only one. How many people like me exist compared to people who are happy to... who are capable of remaining completely blissfully ignorant and assume, hey, I guess this is just how it should be. it should take me 45 seconds to kill an overworld mob. It should require Drain for me to complete my class quests. Stuff like that. I don't know, man. By the way, since Frey and I had a conversation a while back about a Black Mage class quest where he did actually have to use Drain to fucking fix it, I'm not snipping at you, but I still don't know what happened there. Because I think we both looked into it and absolutely nothing we could find suggested that anyone else was having problems with that. And as far as I can tell, you've had absolutely no problems with any other solo content on Black Mage before since. So it exists to me as this black box of, like, thing that didn't happen, really. So inexplicable that it may as well not be remembered. Might have been Gary, yeah. That's what most of the solo content in this game requires. The ability to, like, push something on cooldown, no matter what it is. Just use any fucking spell or weapon skill at all, and relatively up-to-date gear. Pretty much it. We're coming up on midnight here, so I think these couple of bushes are probably going to be my last, especially if I had a +8 yield node, hell yeah. Your usual 4-hour block of time devoted to clicking on digital bushes. Ranting in bemused wonder about Eorzea and the people who inhabit it. We moved away from Eorzea for a while though, right? I wasn't just ranting about FF14 the entire time, right? I have the memory of a goldfish, please help me. I'll fucking put my cordial on cooldown, hit one more Blessed Harvest 2. And I think that'll be it for me for tonight. Appreciate y'all keeping me company. Today's choice of game and of vibe was brought to you by the whales of this channel and Hitbox Dimension. So if you think they made a decent aggregate decision, well, credit goes to them, because I had absolutely no fucking clue what to do today.
Some FM is entirely listener-supported. We rely on you to keep us on the air. What you
Oh man, it feels weird to get a fucking station ID while I'm actually broadcasting something on my own.
We've got some
Wow, that's weird.
Some FM t-shirts. Get it at somefm.com.
This is the wrong retainer. Alright. So we got some materials to sell. I'll price that shit later. For now, I'm out of here. Appreciate y'all coming along for the ride. I do plan on doing stuff like this a little bit more often. I have a couple different links that I kind of want to make weekly deals, but I do want to talk to people about it first. Gauge some opinions, so fucking any lurkers who happen to be grazing against the stream. If you happen to dig this or other shit, tell me what you think on Discord. Fucking Twitch whisper me. I don't know if that's still a feature. I think it is. I think I got spammed there last week. But yeah. I'm out. Good night.